I think it's 8.
Hi. Hello. Oh, is it 8? I don't know
Sorry.
anymore.
We've already
You
botched it.
look, we've been gone for a little bit. I did 8 hours of Nier. We did 2 hours of 13 Sentinels like 14 months ago. At least it feels like it at this point. And now we're rolling in with just a mess of a beginning. If anything, that's pretty emblematic of anything that I make. So this is probably the best way to do it. Hi, hello. We're stumbling into episode 6 and or 7. I'm clicking through right now because it's not like I pay attention to myself. I am my least interesting topic. Episode 7. That's it. I don't know what to call this. I figure it out in the middle of editing. So, Dorian, how are you? How have you been?
I've been wonderful, Ed. Just living the dream. I got a new microphone, as I'm sure all of the thousands of listeners of Passive Pixels will be able to tell. So you'll be able to hear my thoughts and horrible takes more clearly now.
I'm sorry, I'm horrified at the idea of thousands of people listening to me. Like that's power. That's pain. That's power, pain, danger. So now that we're at least here, shall we just get into it? Because I know that we don't really have much time to waste.
Yeah,
So,
we got a lot of shit to talk about, so probably a good idea.
no kidding. All right. Now, you want to list first or me?
I can list first.
Go for it.
Yeah, so here's my list. Obviously, we're covering quite a bit of content from the last time we talked, but I finished Halo 2. I played Erica, Crash Team Racing, a smidgen of Perfect Dark. I played through Nier Replicant and finished. I also played through Returnal. Haven't finished that. Resident Evil Village. And right now, I'm currently playing and not finished Days Gone. That's the games. And then in terms of movie television, I'm on season 4 of Mr. Robot. I watched Saint Maud, and I also watched Kiki's Delivery Service and Castle in the Sky.
All right. Now, I have my list. I usually just list it as I go through, so forgive me for not being as organized as my co host when it comes to what is what. So, what did I play and watch? On my list, I have Habroxia, Live and Let Die. I have Nier Replicant on here twice because I played the PS3 version and the PS4 version because I'm a psychopath. The Man with the Golden Gun, Metal Gear Solid 2, Halo 2, South Park The Stick of Truth, Annihilation, Dunkirk, Hacksaw Ridge, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Tony Hawk 1 and 2 Remake. That's all I got. Addy, shit.
Solid list.
Ah. Oh, you see, I told myself that I'm trying. I will try to call you Dorian for your family's sake. I will try to
Oh,
call you by your God-given name. No, I know you told me it doesn't matter, but I still want to try it because I like challenging myself.
it's fine. I'm going to answer to either, so whatever you want to go with, we're going to roll with it.
Fair enough. I still will try it anyways. So, Dorian, from here, of course, there's a couple of things that overlap. I assume we will discuss it. I will say that the Nier stuff I will probably be light on because I will do an addendum to the spoiler cast that I did, which is already fucking ridiculous, but somehow I'm even adding maybe an hour or two more to that because, like I said, crazy person.
There's,
So,
I mean, in your defense, there's a lot of lore to that game. So I understand you have a passion for it, and you definitely are crazy about it. Don't get me wrong, but I can understand why you talk so much about it because there is a lot to talk about it. Like if you were trying to talk that long about, I don't know,
Days
what's
Gone,
what's an
Days
example?
Gone,
Uh,
Days Gone,
I'm trying to think of a bad game here.
Days Gone.
Even Uncharted. Look, I love Uncharted. They're not bad games, but if you're trying to do a 10-hour spoiler cast on Uncharted 1, I don't get it.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's an hour and a half, and you're just mostly going to be talking about how you can tell that it wasn't mocapped because you can see the jank motion that they all have.
That's true.
All right, so that's the one thing. The other thing is there was one episode that I introduced joke scores. Now, Dorian, because you know it, we know it, other people may not know. You actually like taking scores seriously. I do not because numbers scare me. Now, because of that, I have to mention that I want to bring back scores. But at the end of everything, basically, you give an actual score if you feel like you're ready to. And whenever you do, I will also drop a joke score. Even if it's something that I've never seen before or played before, I'm going to rate how you talk about it, and that's going to be the rating.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great idea. So I'll take it totally seriously, and you just treat it like a clown show. That's perfect.
That's exactly how I treat my life anyways. So, shall we go ahead and you know what? Let's do movies at the top because I feel like games are going to be kind of a smooth way to go out. How does that sound?
For sure, sounds good.
Okay. Now, do you want to take the lead first when it comes to games or shall I start?
So are we starting with games or movies?
We're going to start. Oh wait, oh yeah. Whoops. Movies. Movies.
Okay, yeah, because you said games, so I was just confused. Yeah, we can do movies. Start wherever you want. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Do you want to alternate or just one list and then the next list?
I like alternating. I think alternating is the best bet, honestly.
That'll work. Okay. So, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to package both Bond movies together, Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun. Now, I'm going to say this, of course, just because I watched these so early on, like almost a month ago at this point. I don't really remember them. All I know is that, is it Roger Moore? Shit, is it Roger Moore? I'm going to look this up very quickly.
In those ones, I believe it was Roger Moore.
Okay, then I'm going to say something ridiculous. I love Roger Moore more than the previous. I almost said Batman. Jesus, what is wrong with me? Okay, I love Roger Moore than I love Sean Connery. And there is something wrong with me because I am saying that out loud. Jesus, these movies are so ridiculous. Like, they are so comedically over the top. Like, this is such junk food that I can't believe this exists. This was directly made for me. Even if no one in the 70s knew, this is something that I love. This is so ridiculous. Do you remember anything of these movies or no?
No, it's been so long since I have watched Bond, and obviously there's certain moments that are like entrenched in my mind that I remember. I
Mhm.
will say this. I don't think you're too far off basis. Maybe we're both going to get canceled for this opinion, but I really like Roger Moore too. I think Roger Moore's hilarious. Like all of the James Bond Roger Moore movies, you could tell they don't really take themselves too seriously and they just kind of let loose a little bit. And that's not a knock against Sean Connery. Like I love Sean Connery and I think the
Agreed.
Sean Connery Bond movies are great too. But the Roger Moore ones are such a product of that time, and I think they're fantastic.
I'm just saying that it's so fucking funny to me that there is just this slow moving funeral across the streets of Louisiana. And then one dude's just like, whose funeral is it? And it's like, it's yours. And they stab him and they put him in the coffin and they move him. Like, I was like, you guys planned this out. You guys got a whole bunch of people and you're like, look, we're going to be walking around with a coffin. We're going to stab a dude. Don't worry about it. We're just going to put him in the coffin to keep moving. Like, that is so hilarious. There's like 40 minutes of them chasing each other on speedboats at the end. And there's just this hick dude, the most Louisiana man that they could find that they could still understand. The reason I say that is because they're like, I'm pretty sure there are people in Louisiana who are going to hear people talking like, and they'll be like, yes, Bob, yes, we'll get you the large fries and the ketchup, hold the pickles. And you're like,
Oh yeah, it's a different language.
oh, it really is. So they found the most Cajun man that was still recognizably speaking English. And they got this man and they focus on him way too much, way too ridiculous much. Sheriff J.W. Pepper of the Louisiana State Police. And not only does he show up in this movie, he shows up in the next movie and he has way too long of a scene. And not only that, does he then help Bond? That famous scene of the car basically Dukes of Hazzarding across a bridge as it spins, and you hear the voice going, like that is, I didn't realize that was in The Man with the Golden Gun. I had no idea. It's so ridiculous. The song kicks ass. Like, what the hell was Paul McCartney on in the 70s to make Live and Let Die? That song is sick.
Oh, that song is a banger.
Like, I was so expecting that when it came to the Roger Moore movies, I thought they were just gonna be like so like I thought they were gonna feel old. I was thinking, man, people really don't tend to like Roger Moore. They're like, he's a step down from Sean Connery. And because I watched the Sean Connery movies and I thought, well, these are a little campy too. So if Roger Moore is seen bad compared to Sean Connery, and that was already campy, this is probably not going to be enjoyably campy. So I had this subconsciously. This wasn't anything that was going on in my mind because I was going to watch these movies anyways. So it was such a joy to see how ridiculous these two movies are. I Bond telling a kid, "Hey, give me if you can give me the ability to move faster on this boat, and I will pay you $50,000. Here you go." And the kid goes, "I fixed it." And then the kid goes, $50,000, and Bond just pushes the kid out the boat. Like that shit is so oh my god! If there's a kid getting fucked up, like I'm going to love it. Like
Oh, I agree. I agree.
so.
Have you seen off topic, but have you seen Hobo with a Shotgun?
No, no, I have not.
Okay.
It's one of
Okay,
those
I'm not
movies
gonna
I've seen floating around, and I always
okay.
think about it.
Okay. I won't talk about it then on the off chance you do watch it one day, but
Mm.
if you like kids getting fucked up, there's one scene in that movie that you'll love. That's all I'm gonna say.
I went to a Dollar Tree a while back, and anytime that they have a dollar section of like DVDs and Blu-rays, I'm always curious. What stock did Best Buy and Target decide to dump because they couldn't sell? And I saw Hobo with a Shotgun there, and I thought, nah. So if I ever go back to society in any form and I end up at a Dollar Tree, I'm going to look for it again because
Yeah,
it's a dollar
for
at that
$1,
price.
you cannot beat that. That movie honestly is worth $1. I think it's worth a few bucks. It's fucking hilarious, but you got to be in the right mood. It's just pure camp. Like there's nothing to it.
Oh, I think I'm always in the mood for pure camp. That's where I stand.
Yeah, it's great. But no, I agree. The kids getting fucked up is hilarious, and yeah, in James Bond, it's particularly funny. So
My barometer is kind of messed up because if it's a comedy and there's kids getting fucked up, that's pretty hilarious to me. But I also have a drama thing where if you're fucking up kids, I'm like, oh wow, you're really willing to go there. So there's just I don't think I root for children, and that's something wrong with me. And I hope I never end up in a psychologist's office and for them to figure out why that is.
same.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just an evergreen statement to never end up in a psychologist's office because it's better to live in ignorance sometimes. So, yeah, live and let die. Oh my god, that was so fun. The Man with the Golden Gun. Oh my god, that was so much fun. Moving on to that one for a little bit, I had no idea that. Oh my god, I am blanking on the name. If anyone is actually listening to this, you're gonna be like, okay, of course I know who that is. But whenever you're recording, you just tend to forget everything. And I really messed up by not having all of the tabs already open before recording. So
Yeah, I do the same thing.
I remember. Oh, I know. I need to actually do that ahead of time. So the Man with a Golden Gun, I had no idea that not Gandalf was here. Oh my god, the other wizard.
Oh, Christopher,
No,
uh,
not Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Lloyd. Is that
It's
no,
no,
no?
Christopher
Hold on,
Lloyd. Wait, Christopher
no,
Lee.
Christopher Lee. There it is.
Sir Christopher Lee plays the villain who has a third nipple, and the third nipple is there's an actual reason for the third nipple in the script. That is the funniest idea I've ever heard.
Yeah,
And the
really. Like, if you're trying to sell anyone on this movie, I think you just did right there. The guy's got a third nipple, and there's a reason for it. Watch the movie.
dude, Christopher Lee is the man with the golden gun, and this man has like three different things in his pockets that turn into the golden gun. One looks like a cigar, the other one looks like a little cartridge, and then the bullets. Oh my god, it's hilarious because you'll just see this man in a little scene. He'll be talking to someone, and you notice the moment he's like, I no longer need you, and I'm going to kill you. And you just see him pull out what looks like a lighter, what looks like a cigar, and then he puts it together. You're like, oh, he's going to kill this person. And he
It's
just does
so
it so
cheese.
nonchalantly. It's oh my god. I love it. I really love it.
Yeah, there's definitely a place for it. Like, I really like the Daniel Craig Bond movies, but they are very different type of Bond movies. And
Mhm,
going back and watching these ones from, I guess, what is it, the late 70s, early 70s into the 80s, they're a delight.
correct. Just also, this was the only different Bond so far, which is also ridiculous because now I feel like I'm actually complimenting it instead of just going, wow, this is ridiculous. It's the only Bond movie so far in what I think is five movies where Bond isn't on a mission. This is just literally Bond going, "Ugh, this dude's in my way. Can I do something about this?" Because all the other movies are, I have a mission. I need to get this done. This one is, hey, Bond, you have a mission. He's like, cool, let's do this. You got someone who needs to kill you. We can't have a mission fail because you get shot. And he's like, well, I don't have enough PTO to do this. I kind of still need to pay off the Aston Martin that I have. I think it might be cheaper to go hunt the man with the golden gun down so I can get back to work. Like, I don't think my dental's gonna cover this if I don't go on the next mission. Like, my PTO is running low. Like, like I'm sorry. I know that that's not exactly what it is, but I like to imagine that Bond is doing this for like not even pure fun reasons. I just like to imagine that he's doing this because like, this is so annoying. I just want to get back to work already.
That's my canon now.
So yeah, I love both of these movies, and I might be insane in calling them better than the Sean Connery runs, although I still think Goldfinger is the best example for what a Bond movie should be, excluding the Daniel Craig ones because those are still pretty damn good.
Yeah, those are again different type of movies though. Like those are actually, I don't know. I don't want to insult Bond fans, but those are actually movies. They're very good.
I think that's all I got on the movies. Pretty much, they're campy as hell. They're fun as hell. I enjoy them so much. Anything that you want to add on before we move on?
No, I think that's good. I think you covered it.
All right. Do you want to jump in a score? No.
Yeah,
Do
well,
you want to throw out a score?
oh, for the Bond movies. Oh my god, it's been so long. It's hard. It's tough for me to give those real scores. But from what I remember, like actually, funny enough, I don't really score movies all that often. If I do, I probably use more of a star system for movies. It's more games
Hmm.
I'm into that. But those movies are solid, like 3 stars out of 5 for me. Good entertainment. Like anything that I have fun with, I'd give that like a 3 out of 5. So
All right. The score that I'm going to give both of these movies together because I feel like they're very good. You got J.W. Peppa as the connecting tissue between the two of them. So I'm going to give it the coveted stadium event nacho cheese out of 10. Now, I feel like that is a very prestigious honor. If you want nachos, you can go to restaurants, but there's something special about going into a stadium, knowing you're about to watch some shit, and you just really need some nachos, all right? And not only that, I'm going to even go as far to say that there was no line when you got these stadium nachos. So I feel like that is a
well,
very good score.
that's just unrealistic. That's just unrealistic, man.
Correct, just as unreal as these movies are in general. So I feel like it works very well.
I agree with that. I love the fake ass nacho cheese sauce. So I'm with you.
Oh, exactly, damn right. So that's the movie I got. Back to you.
Yeah, so you bundled 2 movies together, so I think I'm gonna do the same actually. From Studio Ghibli, renowned studio. I watched Kiki's Delivery Service, and then I watched Castle in the Sky. And they're both such wonderful movies. If you've never seen a Studio Ghibli movie, they're basically like Japanese Pixar. That's basically the best way I can describe, like good Pixar, not new Pixar, but traditional classic
Not
Pixar.
Cars 2.
Not Cars 2, not Cars 1 even. Like we're talking good
Correct.
Pixar movies. But yeah, no, they're absolutely fantastic movies. Kiki's Delivery Service, I really loved. Like I think I enjoyed it more than Castle in the Sky. It's just relentlessly heartwarming and charming. Like it's the type of movie that you watch and you've got a smile on your face, like from the very beginning of that movie until the very end of that movie. And I loved it. Funny enough, I was watching it in the English dub, which I normally don't do, but I'm like, you know what? I've heard the dubs aren't bad on these, so I'll give it a shot.
Mhm.
And honestly, it was actually pretty terrible. And the only reason it was terrible, and I actually thought there was something wrong with my setup at first, and I played around with it, but it sounded like so. Kristen Dunst, I believe, plays the Kiki in the American dub,
Hmm.
and it sounded like she was talking through a fan. Like it was just very tinny sounding. And I'm like, okay, is there something wrong with my setup? And I end up watching the whole thing like that. I don't know why. I guess I like pain. It turns out though that
Oh,
it,
we established that.
yeah, right. But it turns out no, there was just something wrong with the dub. So if you're gonna watch it, I would recommend subs for that one for sure. And I kind of want to rewatch it in subs. But it actually didn't even detract from the movie. Like it was just so well done and heartwarming. And hearing Phil Hartman again, rest in peace. I love Phil Hartman, one of my favorite comedic actors from that time period. So it was really good. Loved it.
Now, just because, of course, we have thousands of people that we know aren't actually listening to this, it's more like 10 or 15. At least a third of those are on my HBO Max account. Uh, Guys, you have HBO Max. You have access to all of Studio Ghibli. Like, you can watch them if you have kids. I forced 2 children to watch My Neighbor Totoro, and
Oh,
they actually enjoyed it and sat down and enjoyed it. So,
good on you.
oh, look, I have already been traumatized by those children because they were watching The Boss Baby Back in Business in my theater room. It was the 65-inch OLED, not the new 77. So at
Good.
least the stink is off of here, like it's not in the room. Maybe on the sound system, technically, but I'm going to swap that out anyways. So eventually, of course. But I needed to attack them back by giving them good stuff. And eventually it'll counteract it and they'll be better for it. But
Good for you.
oh, trust me. I'm going to hate whenever I have kids because I'm going to have to deal with so much of that I'm going to want to bash my head into the nearest brick multiple times whenever they're like, look, kids, here's Coco, here's The Lion King, here's Aladdin, here's some good shit. And then they're just like, no, but you don't understand. I just want to watch Paw Patrol roll out like all day. And I don't think I'll be able to handle it. I don't think so.
Yeah, me neither.
But
That's a no from me.
Ghibli, all I can say is Ghibli is good. I'm
Yeah.
going to rate your review of Kiki's Delivery Service a delightful and obvious out of 10.
Fantastic. Appreciate that. No, I would say Kiki's would probably be a solid like 4 out of 5 stars for me. Really enjoy that. It's fantastic. And then Castle in the Sky, just to touch on Castle in the Sky a little bit here. I didn't
Hmm.
enjoy that one quite as much as Kiki's. In fact, if I was to say, I think Castle in the Sky is probably maybe my least or second least favorite Ghibli movie I've seen so far.
Hmm.
But that's not a knock against Ghibli because the movie's still absolutely great. Like, it's just one of my least favorite ones. But the story, though, is very interesting. They create like a really interesting world in that. It's a lot more complicated than Kiki's was. And I think I could be wrong, but I believe Castle in the Sky was the first movie they released under the Ghibli name.
Hmm.
So I could be incorrect about that. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that was like the actually under the Ghibli name, that was the first one. And Kiki, I think, was maybe the second or third. And they definitely took a more simplistic approach to Kiki, which I appreciated. But Castle in the Sky was still very good. The one thing I love about these movies too is these are older movies, like these are 80s cartoons, and a lot of time that stuff can feel dated to me, but
Hmm.
these don't feel dated or aged at all. Like they're still fantastic to watch. They're still really cool. And I'm gonna butcher his name. Is it Miyazaki? Is that
No, you said that right.
Miyazaki? Thank you. I love watching Miyazaki's work because just the passion and the love he puts into it, and especially the Castle in the Sky, for instance, he's a big fan of air travel, and you can definitely tell in this movie like there's lots of really cool ships and blimp sequences and flight, and I think he's actually obsessed with it, and it definitely
Hmm.
comes across in this movie and some of his others like Porco Rosso. So really great movie too.
One of my favorite things whenever I hear Miyazaki, like whenever I think of him, the thing that always comes to mind is that there's a meme where it's like, oh, Miyazaki's works, and it's like bright and colorful. Miyazaki the man, and it's just like barren and a completely angry and just grumpy man. And then you have Junji Ito, who just draws the most horrific imagery ever, and that's his artwork. And then you check the man, and the man is just a bubbling personality, like one of the most positive people you could ever meet. And I just like to imagine that Miyazaki saves all the positive emotions that he has, puts them in a movie so he can be an asshole to everyone else.
Was it you that posted that meme, or was it
No,
somebody
that was
else?
not me.
Did you see it though?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. But I agree. I find that absolutely hilarious. Then that's totally true. Junji Ito, by the way, if you've never heard of Junji Ito, Google some of his work and have fun not sleeping.
If we're going to talk about not sleeping, we're going to move on to the next.
But Castle in the Sky, I'd probably give that a 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Castle in the Sky, I'm going to give it the exact same score. Not the star one, the previous one that I said, which is, you know what? It's Ghibli. It's still probably going to be a cut better than literally anything else you can watch, but definitely always a cut better than whatever your children are watching. So there we go. I'm
Yes,
okay
fully
giving it
agree.
the same score.
Fully agree. Watch those movies.
Now, back to me. If we're going to talk about nightmares, this is where we're going to start fighting, Dorian. This is where we're going to start fighting. Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
We're going to go 2 rounds. All right. There's going to be no winners. There's only be losers. And it's going to be both of us and the audience. I
All right.
watched Annihilation.
Let's talk. Let's talk Annihilation. Let's
Oh
do it.
my God. Okay. I've been holding on to this for now a couple of days. At least whenever we've been in the Discord, I've just been trying to indicate that I'm positive on Annihilation. That's about it. I've been trying not to say anything else. I watched it. I then watched it again 2 days later because it's time for me to finally say it. I think Annihilation is a fucking masterpiece. I can't begin to talk the praises about this movie, and it infuriates me that Paramount fucked this movie up so badly that it bombed. That is now two fucking movies that I've missed over the last couple of years that were sci-fi bent, that did not have faith from their studio, that got hurt by it. So we have Annihilation with Paramount not having faith in them, that it only came out in theaters in the US, but Netflix everywhere else in the world. And the same thing with Ad Astra for Fox, because they were getting bought out by Disney. Disney kind of like was like, oh, well, we don't really want to worry about this. Just sweep that away. Yeah, get away. You're not an Avenger. Dorian, please, please, I need you to hurt me into the next year. Why is Annihilation boring?
Okay, I mean, here's the issue, right? I have a bad memory to begin with. Now, when did Annihilation come out? Again, the tabs. I really got.
2018, I think.
Thank you. I really got to have these tabs open. 2018. You're correct. Okay, so a little background about Annihilation. Actually, for me, I was actually excited for it. I'm a really big fan of sci-fi. I'm very picky, notoriously picky with sci-fi, but I really do love it. And I remember hearing about this movie and being very excited. I also remember being very pissed off that Paramount decided, hey, let's just put this movie straight to Netflix in Canada. And they did not release it in theaters in Canada at all. It was only on Netflix, which I don't like. I'm a movie guy. I think you're a big cinema guy too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would have preferred to see that movie in the cinema. And who knows? Maybe it would have made a bit of a difference for me. I can't tell you. But so again, literally, I watched it the day it came out on Netflix because I was very excited for it. I have not watched it again since. Literally, I have not thought about it again since we started talking about it. So it's been a while. From what I remember, though, I just don't remember being interested in anything that was going on until the last 25 minutes of the movie or so. The end of the movie is by far, in my opinion, the best part of that movie. And I was actually like, perked up and like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. I think it ends fine. Like, I kind of understand what they're going with there. I'll be honest. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't remember the exact themes of it. I did read a wiki summary a couple of days ago, just so I was a little bit more refreshed with it and could try to get a mindset because I'm not watching it again. Fuck that. But I just remember not being drawn to it. Like, I think the world was cool. I think the idea he was trying to do was cool with everything. But it was just such a drag to get to that point, and when he finally gets to it, I'm like, "All right, we're finally here." So,
Was it just so okay? You know what? This is a good place to have impressions. I think that it might be one of the best sci-fi movies of probably even the last decade or two. You think it is a boring slog that does not become interesting until the final act or so. Sound right?
yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so if anyone, depending on where you feel, so far, I know it's only been a couple of episodes, but it might be worth it to watch this movie, not even just so you can find out where you land. It might be a good way to be able to tell, okay, do you side more with my tastes in general, or do you side more with Dorian's tastes? So this might be the good one, as well as Dunkirk, to be able to tell, oh, okay, if he says something, I'm more willing to agree with him, or vice versa.
For
So
sure,
that is
for
what I'm
sure.
going to say. Go for it.
I agree. And the movie's pretty, like, just looking at it now, and again, I don't put a lot of stock into fucking user reviews and stuff like that, but it does seem slightly divisive on Annihilation because it is a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, a little bit more positive on Rotten Tomatoes at 88%, so mostly liked by most people, but I have heard a lot of mixed things about this movie in general. It does kind of seem to be you love it or hate it camp. So, yeah.
Yeah, a six sounds like they're. I don't want to believe that it's like a majority or a minority thing. I really do think that you are right in saying that if people like it, they're going to love it. And if
Yeah.
people don't like it, I do think that it's probably more in your camp where it's like, I find this more boring than I think it is bad.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
that
think it's
accurate?
I don't think it like I don't think it's a well, I do kind of think it's a bad movie because it's boring. I don't think I don't think it's shot poorly. I think by the way, I love Natalie Portman, one of my favorite actresses. Another reason why I was excited for this movie, and I think she's good in it too. I think it's well acted. I don't think it's poorly acted by any means of the movie. It's just yeah,
That is at least the preface that I want to give, because right now I feel like I just have to talk spoilers, because there's specifically one scene that is something that is, I will carry the scene's impact for probably years to come, and it's going to be something that I will always continue to think about. So, 3, 2, 1. Do you remember the fucking bear scene where it says "help me"?
I do, yeah. I remember the bear scene is actually one of the scenes that stick in my mind, yeah.
That bear scene, I just think is one of the most horrifying fucking ideas that I could ever no, I could never conjure up. A fucked up mutated bear that probably has different genes from plants and other deadly animals mixed in, who murdered a human being, and that human being's final moments of survival and fear has been merged into that fucking already killer bear. This is the most horrifying thing that I've ever seen used with a bear since the fucking Revenant, and that was
Yeah.
already pretty bad enough. I love this scene, and everything even before the movie was still stuff that I already liked.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a scene. I
Oh
mean, I
my god.
guess the only thing I could say to it is I do remember that scene, and I remember laughing.
You were okay, okay. Okay, how did you watch this?
I watched it, on Netflix. Day it came out. Like, what do you mean?
No, how? What was your environment?
Oh, just by myself where I watch my movies. Lights off. I turn the lights off for the movies.
Uh, Listen, this is a story that I know she's not going to like, but I'm still going to tell it anyways. Right?
It's always a good story when
So,
you start it like that.
oh, okay. I was watching this movie, right? I watched 20 minutes of it, and then my wife came home and was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then she sat in for a couple of minutes. I'm like, "Oh, I want to watch this." And I went, "Okay, cool." I paused it. We went to go have food. We came back, and then she changed her mind. She's like, I don't know if I want to watch it." I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll go ahead and continue." It was about an hour in that she sauntered back in, and then the bear scene was literally a couple minutes later. Of course, I'm watching it in my theater room, 77-inch OLED, completely impossible to ignore, 7.1 setup, the sound is there. So she saunters in, and we're just getting to the first time the bear shows up. And then the actual bear scene shows up, and it's finally happening. The bear has already been established that all it says is "help me" in this really just distorted human voice that, oh my god, is ridiculously unsettling to me. And then I just look over to my wife, and she's just trying to hold back tears, and I'm like, oh no. And she's
It's quite the scene to walk in on.
no, that's the thing. She was already sitting in for a couple of minutes, so she was locked in.
Yeah.
And she's just trying to hold back these tears. And I'm looking at her like, "Oh no, no, no!" Like, "Hey, it's okay." And she's like, "I know, but I feel trapped." And I was like, "Oh, this is scarring her. This is impressive." Because I mean, she's watched Midsummer with me, and I feel like Midsummer is a little fucked up too.
Oh, Midsummer's very fucked up.
Yeah. So Annihilation, that thing is going to be something that absolutely sticks with me. I love that. Okay. So, first off, the performances are good, but I don't ever feel like they're insanely to a point where it's like, oh, wow, how was no one nominated for their performance in this? Like, I don't even think of it like that. I think of all of them putting in a good performance to make the movie work. Like, for example, just the fact that Natalie Portman is, for one, broken at the beginning, suddenly is given hope whenever her husband shows back up, is completely scared the entire time until eventually she starts learning, and then by the time that the movie ends, she's still horribly frightened and realizes that she's still a terrified person. Like, I still think that you could apply that to almost every character, except maybe Jennifer Jason Leigh, because it sounds like she's sleepwalking throughout the entire movie, but yet I still like it because she just sounds like a character that knows of what's going on in general. So even though her performance looks weird, I still accept it. So performances, that's not my problem. Sound design, fucking great. The way that alien sounded at the end, I was like, "Oh my god, this sounds fucking awesome."
Yeah, and that's your area of expertise. So I defer
Oh,
to you on that.
Oh man, this fucking sound design is great. That's why I keep getting around to that bear scene because the sound design in that thing is fucking horrifying. So there's that. What really gets me is that I just think it is a phenomenal screenplay. Just I fucking can't stand books for some reason. I just remember sitting in English class and they would be talking about The Great Gatsby and they're like, "What does the color yellow symbolize?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know. I don't care. I wasn't paying attention to the color yellow." But yet that's how I watch movies. That is key to just how I watch movies. I like digging into them and I like trying to find the meaning behind them. And Annihilation is probably the most misanthropic movie that I've seen in quite a while, and I love it because of that. Like, this movie hates humanity so fucking much, and it's incredible to me that that doesn't seem like that's brought up more than anything else.
Yeah, that was kind of the vibe I got from it too. Just how again, it's been so long since I've seen it, but I do remember coming away from the movie like, and I'm going to say negative feelings. Not I didn't like the
Mhm.
movie, but it did feel like a negative movie in general. There wasn't a lot of positivity to it, which is obviously I think how it was shot and meant to be.
Oh, no, no, it's completely accurate. I mean, I love that they basically tell you two separate times what the idea of the movie is, which is self-destruction. Every single character in this movie self-destructs or wants to ruin themselves in one way or another. We got Natalie Portman, of course, basically just at this point ruining her life because she just does not want to live without her husband. Jennifer Jason Lee, she just has cancer and just wants to go on a final, like, I just want to die, like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Gina Rodriguez, I think, what is it? I think she was a druggie, I think. Uh,
Yeah, one of them was a drug addict.
yeah, the three extra girls that aren't Jennifer Jason Lee or Natalie Portman, either they have a drug problem, they try to cut themselves to enjoy something, and then one where she has this actually like really good scene where she just acted her ass off so well when she started talking about the kid that she lost and how she's like, well, I mean, you're not just mourning one person, you're mourning two people. You're mourning your kid and the person you used to be. And I was thinking, oh God, that is fucking dark. And of course, she's the one that gets killed by the bear because it makes it much, much worse. So you got all of that. You got Oscar Isaacs realizing that he was being cheated on. So then at that point, he just wants to be self destructive and goes on the mission to the Shimmer. Like, the fact that all of them are these broken people that are trying to ruin their lives even further. I love that. I love that that's basically what humanity is because we are all trying to ruin ourselves. It is coded straight into our cells, like they say it, that our cells are constantly trying to destroy themselves, and that is a mistake. It's basically saying humanity sucks and we have an alien that isn't destroying things, it is making new stuff, including that horrifying bear, but it is still making new stuff. And what does the alien do with the first human that actually interacts with it? What does it fucking do? It learns how to kill itself and destroy everything around it. Oh my god, that is so fucking dark. I love it. I love it. There's nothing about all of this just pure negativity that I can't help but love.
Yeah, this movie definitely seems catered to your tastes, honestly. And, I usually enjoy that type of thing too. I'm almost wondering if I would have enjoyed, like, I don't know if this movie could have worked then, or even if the story could have worked. I think my problem is I really appreciate, like, I love shows that are depressing, like The Leftovers, obviously, stuff like
Of
that that
course.
just brings you down and gives you stuff like that. I think my issue, honestly, is I just don't like it in science fiction. I think with science fiction, I'm personally looking for a bit of a different escape, and that's why, I I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just kind of where I stand on that.
Do you think more you just like the hopeful future instead of dystopic future?
I don't mind dystopic futures, like, I'm okay with that, it's just
You might be more picky about those?
more picky about those, and I mean, maybe you're right about like, I know we talked about this about themes, movies with themes and stuff like that. Maybe I
Mm.
just don't like themes in my science fiction movies. It could just boil down to that, because I find with movies in general, I'm usually really open to movies and I'm willing to accept a lot more, but there's basically 2 genre of movies, and I'll talk about it in a bit with Saint Maud, but horror and science fiction, I find myself incredibly picky on. Anything else, drama, comedy, action, adventure, I'll sit down and enjoy it usually and have a good time with it. But those genres in specific, I find myself incredibly picky with them. And I'm not quite sure why.
For me, horror is definitely one that I'm very picky about just because I want things that are going to fuck me up to a certain degree where I'm going to be seeing shapes and shadows for the next months to come. I mean, for example, I played PT when it came out at
Mhm.
11 p.m., and that has messed me up like 7 years later on. That
Oh
if
my
I
god.
stare at shadows for too long, I start seeing Lisa. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
Have I told you my PT story?
Oh, yeah, not you've told me, but not on the
Yeah,
podcast.
so yeah, the first time I played PT, it was late at night too. Lights were off. I was actually living with a roommate at the time, and we were playing it together. He was watching. He didn't have a PlayStation at that time, so he wanted to see what it was all about. And I'm playing it, and I was so terrified. Like the entire thing was just horrifying playing it. And basically, there's a part where I mean, I'm going to spoil PT. It's been long, so too bad if you,
It's
yeah,
fine, it's
yeah.
fine. You can't
But
even
basically,
play it
there's a part
anymore.
where it's like, look behind you, like this creepy radio. And so I'm like, okay, I look behind me and she's standing right there and grabs me, which I don't think it was
Wait.
scheduled that way. I think it can just happen. But yeah, it happened to me. And I freaked out, bashed my foot against the ottoman. Like there's an ottoman that was sitting in front of me. And I didn't even notice. So I kept playing, I kept playing. And eventually my roommate kind of looks down. He's like, yo, he goes, you're bleeding. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I look and I bashed my toe, my big toe, against the ottoman so hard that the toenail was basically 80% just ripped clean off and just gushing blood everywhere. And I was like, "Oh, that's painful." But I was so in shock, I guess I didn't even realize it. So paused after that. But yeah, it's a scary game.
Oh my god, so I'm horrified about the nail, but you know what I'm actually horrified more by? By the fact that the game, I could have sworn so many people that were told, "Look behind you." I said, "Look behind you." I've heard that if you actually don't look behind you, you have better chances of getting killed by Lisa. So the fact that you got it and that that's totally possible that she could have popped up when you turn around, oh my god, that's more horrifying to me that that was still even a chance at that point.
Oh, I could literally do a 2-hour episode alone on PT because there's just so much to unpack with that game that's still being discovered. It's absolutely fucking brilliant.
Look, I would love to talk about PT. I would love it. But the problem is that I would probably just end up stealing from another video this entire time. And while yes, the Nier one, I did a lot of other people's research and then went back and compiled it, I feel like there was value in that.
For sure.
If I were to talk about PT, I would literally just look at the Great Debates video that they did on the entire story of PT and how it's an allegory for Kojima's time at Konami. And
Yes,
that
that
right
video is
there is the
great.
masterpiece.
That is a
That is the
great video.
masterpiece video. Oh
And
my god.
yeah, and I think honestly, I believe it too.
I believe it too. I believe that Kojima can write a story well enough that he could make it an entire allegory within 30 minutes to summarize a couple of years.
Yeah, I agree.
If you have any interest in PT whatsoever. The Great Debate. So it's not great as in, of course, like great job. It's more like great, like what you'd pick off the ground. So great, spelled that way. The Great Debate. The Great Debate, the story of PT, is a phenomenal video that explains so much of the actual story within the game. And then there's another video called PT's Hidden Meeting, which is the both of those videos are so great to explain the actual story and the meta narrative of the game that there's nothing I could ever say that would touch that wouldn't just come off as regurgitation because I feel like that is the true story for PT.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everyone's heard of PT. If you're a fan of it or you've heard of it, definitely will give that video a watch. And honestly, there's tons of good videos on it on YouTube that I've watched too about that. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it's definitely there's so much more to that game that's than just what's on the surface level. So
Mhm, phenomenal. So going back to Annihilation. Have I swayed you in one direction or no?
No,
Or at least still firmly?
I know. Like, part of me wants to try watch it again, honestly, sometime and just see, okay, like, what the fuck? Like, how can you love this movie so much? But I also think our tastes are just different enough that I can understand that you like this movie. And if I watch it again, I'm just going to want to blow my brains out. So,
Listen, if I can be next, watch it.
if what, sorry?
No, you said that if you're gonna watch it again and you blow your brains out, I said that if
Yeah.
I can be next, then absolutely watch it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. We're deaf jokes. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
our bread and butter. Hell, if
Yes.
anything, the fact that we've been making about jokes about killing ourselves, we haven't joked about canceling the show. So you know what? This is the final episode, completely done. If we show up again later, I'm sorry, we didn't have the courage to do it. Last episode, blah 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 blah. I felt like I
Yeah,
had to
well,
do it.
if we're both dead, then it'll be canceled automatically. So,
True, unless I send the keys off to someone. You know what, Dustin?
yeah, true.
Dustin, congrats, you get to cancel the show.
I'm sure he'll take great pleasure in it.
So, Annihilation. The score that I give it is most horrific bear scene and phenomenal themes out of 10. That's what I got.
Yeah, that would be like that'd be a 2-star out of 5 for me.
So not completely valueless. I'm okay with this. It hurts me though, regardless. All
No,
right.
like I don't hate it. It's just I've never thought about it. So that would be a 2 out of 5 for me. Something that I like actively hate, like Vin Diesel's Fast and the Furious movies, those would be ones.
My
As a
God.
reference.
I don't even know what joke score I'd give it because I would have to figure out the right irony to put into that. Although, of course, there's the obvious family out of 10, but I feel like that's too low hanging fruit. Like, I need to go top shelf.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a Fast and Furious special episode, so you have lots of time to think about it.
Trust me, I will keep you very far away from it. It is okay.
Oh,
You're safe.
please.
One day it's just gonna be like, oh, it's episode 12. Sure. Everybody, thanks for getting into the Fast and Furious podcast. And you're like, I gotta, I can't be here.
Oh man.
So, Annihilation, that's where I stand. Now, hand it back to you.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go into Saint Maud then. Earlier I mentioned about the horror movie, but I actually find it kind of funny. I am very picky with horror movies. Very picky with horror movies. I don't watch a lot of them anymore. It's really got to capture me and be something I'm interested in. I find horror movies are really a lot of them these days are just I want to torture the viewer for a couple of hours, watch this horrible shit happen with that's going to make you feel like crap, but there's no substance to it. And I'm not into that anymore. Honestly, I'm not. I feel it's almost a disservice to call Saint Maud a horror movie. I really do. There is
Mm.
one jump scare in the entire movie, and it's incredibly well earned. And the rest of the movie is more of a drama and just a look at mental health. And I think it's
Ooh.
absolutely fantastic. It's a really good movie. I think a thriller drama would be a better way to have put it out
Marketed.
there. What's that?
Marketed.
Marketed, absolutely, yeah. And I do think I have heard. I've never watched the trailer for the movie, but I've heard that the trailer spoils a lot of shit, which I could go on a huge rant about. So I'm glad I didn't watch that. But so apparently it was marketed terribly to begin with. But yeah, the movie's really good. The message throughout the movie is great. I'm going to keep it vague because you haven't seen it, so I don't want to spoil it.
I can tell you right
And
now, so far with everything you've already said means that I'm going to revisit this one already just because I enjoy movies that are in quotation marks horror, but no, they're not. Like they just kind of wear the pastiche of horror.
Correct. This is not a movie that I would call a horror movie, in my opinion. Like, I understand why people would call it a horror movie, and it's definitely not something you want to watch with the family and your kids. I still think it's fascinating. Um, yeah, like obviously a really low budget movie. There's not a big budget behind it, but to be honest, those are some of my favorite, again, quote unquote horrors. Because you kind of get like a more realistic vibe to it. It feels real. It feels raw. I really appreciated that. It's incredibly well acted by everybody. Maud was played by somebody named, I can't even pronounce her name, Morfydd Clark. Like, I am probably butchering that. I'm sorry if you ever listened to this Morfydd Clark. I don't know why you are, but yeah, she was really great in the movie. And I'm trying to find the director here. Rose
Rose
Glass was the
Glass.
director. There we go. Yeah, and honestly, after this, I'm very curious to see what she does next. Everything else she's done have all been short movies. So she's never actually done a full length film before this one. This one was good enough that whatever she does next, I'm going to be intrigued and probably give it a watch.
Hmm. Hmm. She's going to be Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings Amazon series.
Roses?
Yeah. No, sorry.
Oh, she's
Not the Sorry, not the oh, you were talking about the director. I thought you were talking about the actress for a second.
Oh, the
Never mind.
actress. Okay, okay, okay. No, she's gonna. That's interesting. Good for her. That's a really big role for her. Good for her.
Mhm, good job.
As,
Get a
as
paycheck.
you would say, get that paycheck.
Get that fucking paycheck. Literally all the time. Sell your morals. It's fine. The dollar will give you
Lord of the
back your
Rings actually
morals.
probably will be good though.
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
no,
want to bash on Lord of the
it's
Rings.
probably good. I know, but to be fair, I'm just so cynical about IPs in general that even though Lord of
Oh,
the
for
Rings
sure.
is still good, like it's not. We're not at Star Wars territory where it's like,
No.
oh yeah, Star Wars, those movies. Oh, how many? Oh no, the average is off. The average is off. So, yeah, I'm probably incorrectly cynical about Lord of the Rings, but I just am cynical in general, anyways.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to mention in Safe Mod though. I really appreciate when movies. So it's interesting when I like what again, without getting into spoilers, a lot of Saint Maud is kind of questioning like basically if you're getting a protagonist that's telling us the truth. I know I'm saying that wrong. There's a better term for it.
uh, Unreliable narrator.
Thank you very much. An unreliable narrator. I love that. I don't know what you call that, a theme, a cliche, whatever it is. I absolutely
Framing device.
thank you. I love that framing device when you use that in movies, and this movie does do it, and it does it very well. So that's something I always appreciate about a movie. It's not always done well. There's lots of movies where they don't pull that off, but when they
Mm,
pull that off, and it makes you question kind of everything you're watching, even though I kind of knew where it was going and I had my opinion and I was right, I still appreciated that because it was done very well.
mhm. I am very curious about this movie now. I like I said, I just have to repeat myself because it's just so true. I mean, pretty much almost every horror movie that I hold in a good esteem usually ends up being something that is actually something else, but hiding as a horror. So, of
Yeah.
course, we've got Hereditary and Midsummer,
Hereditary, yeah.
which both of
Yeah.
these movies are just either family dramas. Well, I mean, yeah, it's I think it's fair to call both of them family dramas. Hell, even the
Hereditary for sure.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would say all three of those movies are basically family dramas that hide underneath the banner horror. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff I like. I am not a fan of pretty much any movie that will try to go boo ha gotcha and call that horror because at
Oh,
that point anyone could tickle you and record it and call that a comedy.
oh my god. This is a little bit while ago, but have you ever seen any of the Conjuring movies?
No, no. That was
Okay, well,
one that I had brought up and I was like, but here's the thing. I don't know if I trust James Wan when it comes to that.
for sure. The first couple of Conjuring movies I really like. I don't have a problem with those, but the spin-off, so Annabelle the doll,
Mm.
I watched, I think it was called Annabelle Creations, I believe,
Mm.
and the movie is just like the first half that's actually not bad, but then when you get into the second half, it's just jump scare. 5 more minutes, jump scare. 5 more minutes, jump scare. And I'm sorry, that's just not fun. Not for me anyways.
It's not. I mean, like I said, it's just cheating. Like at that point, go to an amusement park, okay? That's
Mhm,
going to give you better scares than
mhm.
whatever you're going to watch. Like at
I
least
agree.
nowadays, I get since we're living in a Death Stranding world, it might be hard to go, and like
That's
I
true.
get it
That's
at that
true.
point.
That's
But
true. But yeah, same mod, enjoyable. Definitely give that a watch. I liked it. Star rating probably a 4 out of 5. Really good. 4 out of 5.
mm. Now, if I have to give a score on the review that you put, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna give it an A24 out of 10.
Yes.
We're going to give it an A24 out of 10. And as we all
Yes. Eight.
know, the
Yes.
A24 score is a very special score. I'm going to end up
I agree.
realizing I'm going to be saying this pretty often about most of my scores, but the A24 score is always a I gotta check this out. I gotta check this out. As we all know, the scores do not stay static. So the A24 score is just a preliminary score and it can improve. As we all know, the Hereditary one and Midsummer scores started as A24 scores. So we will see how this goes at some point. I never plan to watch anything or play anything. So we'll see if I talk about it next time or in 10 years from now. Could be anywhere from there.
Can't wait.
I guess it's my turn, huh? We're going for round two?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Now this one I've got more to say about, so
I don't like Dunkirk. I watched it in theaters and I thought that was a great experience. I don't really remember anything that happened. I just remember that there were some Nazis that never show up. You could literally probably put I don't know why I keep wanting to say Max, even though I know that's not the right name. Oh, of course, because of Bad Max. Oh my god. Oh, Tom Hardy. You could
Oh, Tom
probably
Hardy's character?
put you can probably put Tom Hardy with literally just black boxes, excluding everything of him except his eyes, and this man would still probably be the best actor in whichever movie you throw him in. Like,
He's
that's what
phenomenal.
we're talking about. And
He's so
then
good.
we have 2 other plot lines that I really couldn't care about at all. And you know what? I don't feel like this is a movie you spoil, right? Do you agree with me on that one?
I agree.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I really don't fucking care about the boat people whatsoever. I can't care about uh budget Matt Damon. Like, I really don't care about that. Dude, there's something about his face that I look, I try not to just be mean for mean's sake. Like, I try to be mean because it's funny, and if I can get the person I'm being mean to laugh, that absolves me of my sin. But I just look at this kid's face and I can't stand it. He just always
Are you talking about Fionn Whitehead, right?
that's a good question. I've never learned his name.
Like the star, like this, the quote unquote star of the movie you're talking about, right?
No, no, no. I'm talking about the boat people.
Oh, okay.
He was in
Okay.
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I know who you mean. That
I
kid's face bothers me too, actually. By the way, just for the record.
this is okay. I hate this. I just looked up Killing of a Sacred Deer, and his headshot looks like a normal human being. Like, he looks like
Oh,
a
okay. Now,
normal human being, but for
well, I got
some
to do this now
reason,
too.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Look up Killing of a Sacred Deer just so you can get the same image. Barry Keegan. I'm assuming just Keegan. Barry Keegan looks like a normal human being in this shot. And then every single movie that I've seen him in, I just look at him like, I can't trust you. There's just something about your face that makes me not want to trust you. I think it's because you have too little face on too much head.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Like, okay, so first off, the boat one, I feel like the guy who is actually driving the boat, that's probably not the right term, but screw it. It's not like I'm a navyman. So he just is an exposition machine. And then his kid is there just so we can have someone be like worried about this kid who just jumped on their boat. Like, I don't care about anything that is on the boat, and the only time that anything in the boat that happened that made me care was whenever Tom Hardy would fly by. That was it. Anytime that there were people on the beach, it was really cool for like about 10 minutes, and then I just kept thinking, huh, you got Harry Styles here. How did that happen? Did you like, were you just wandering around randomly in Britain, Nolan, and you were just like, oh, oh, I came to pick up a CD for my daughter, and I saw these little British beautiful boys, and I decided to cast him in my movie. Like, there's just so many beautiful British boys getting blasted away. And yes, I did think about that ahead of time, okay? I just really wanted the alliteration for that. But there's
Phrasing.
just so there's just so many beautiful British boys getting blown away, and I can't care. I don't know what it is, because like, I just look at them and they keep getting shot, and I just keep thinking, yeah, I guess it kind of sucks that they're getting shot, and then I just keep watching. And I understand the anxiety that you watch it in theaters that you feel, because the time clock is literally always ticking because Hans Zimmer is a master. And even when I watched that at home, that still worked, but it wore off much quicker at home than when I remember watching in theaters, because, well, I watched it at home now. Like, I understand, oh, well, I just remember that the ending is pretty cool. So I don't really think that all the beautiful British boys are going to be blasted. They're going to be saved by the people from Britain. So Dunkirk is a movie that I'm like, man, if you just watch once and you watch it in the right settings, that's going to be an experience. But I hate to bring it up again, but you know what's also a nice experience? Going to a water park, man. Water parks are pretty fucking sick. Like, I can go on a dungeon drop in the amusement park. That's pretty fun too. That's an experience. That's a story you can tell.
Okay, so I want to home in on something you said there because I've actually been thinking about this,
Go for it.
and I've been thinking about Dunkirk myself a lot lately. So for record, I have seen Dunkirk 3 times now. Okay,
I am at two.
Okay. So, okay, and by the way, just as a side note, funny fun fact, the Tom Hardy bits are actually my least favorite part of Dunkirk, just for the record. But, okay. Anyways, do you think it's fair for a movie if you watch a movie once, okay, and the intention is to watch the movie once, and then on subsequent views, you're not gonna get the same experience out of that, do you think that's fair? Or do you think a movie should need to be infinitely rewatchable?
So I don't think a movie should be infinitely rewatchable, but it is a good mark to have. So
Okay.
even though I did feel like, wow, that was an experience, never did I even think when I was in theaters thinking, wow, this is a good film. This is a good movie. I thought it
Okay.
is a very impressive movie. It is an impressive film. I would never try to say that it's neither of those. It is literally just this feels like a really well done experiment.
Okay. Interesting. And the only reason I bring that up is because the
Mm,
the second and third time I've seen Dunkirk, I've liked it less too. I still like the movie a lot, but I have liked it less. And
mhm,
I feel like Dunkirk is the type of movie where I could have literally just watched it once and walked away from it and had a really great experience with it. I don't know if it's a movie that you need to watch multiple times personally. And I think watching it multiple times will actually take some of the enjoyment away from it. The entire movie, you're basically, for me anyways, when I watched it in theaters, of course I watched it in theaters the first time I
oh, yeah.
saw it and the second, the entire movie, I felt like I was trying to catch my breath.
Mhm.
It's filmed at such a relentless pace, and it just never gives up. And it was almost done on purpose, I feel, by Nolan
Oh, it
because he
was.
got so much shit after Interstellar, which I disagree with. I fucking love Interstellar,
Agreed.
but he got so much shit on Interstellar for being very exposition heavy and a lot of dialogue, and just a lot of bloat to it, basically. Which again,
Ah,
I
the
don't agree
Lily
with.
Mo
But
conundrum.
what's that? Sorry.
Ah, the Lily Mo conundrum.
Exactly. Exactly.
Obviously,
Ex-
that happened before Dunkirk, obviously.
exactly.
God, when are we gonna
But
get that sacred symbol sponsor?
yeah, right. We're here. We're here. Colin Barry. We're waiting. Just
Look,
just saying.
look, I'm sorry. I won't ask you who you want to interview again. I swear I won't do it.
Yeah, that not till next year, anyways. Not till next April. Um, but no, and I remember at the end of the movie, just kind of finally being able to catch my breath, the music drowning out, and you kind of get that moment of clarity, and it's over. I thought beginning to end, it was absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite war movies I've ever seen. But I just don't know if it's a movie that you need to see again. Personally, and I have seen it 2 more times after that, and yeah, maybe that means it's not a I would never put this movie in my top 50 of all time even. I wouldn't. It's not there for me. So maybe that's a mark of it not being a top 50 movie of all time. Maybe if your movie's a top 50 movie of all time, it needs to be infinitely rewatchable. But specifically with Dunkirk, I feel that first experience enough for me was more than enough to pull me through, and even rewatching it a couple extra times, I still think it's a good movie.
I had an aunt tell me that on the flight here. By the way, she's apparently one of yours. She lives in Canada. She came to visit us because everything was getting locked down there.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's go. Canada
And then she was
representing.
like, "Ah, I got to get the hell out of here. They're locking down. Let's go to Texas. Let's go get some freedom." And she told me something that I had to hide my face at. She told me that she watched Tenet on an airplane and I just felt like I died on the inside.
What'd you
Uh
think of it?
Tenet.
Yeah.
Oh, she was like, "Oh, man, I felt, like, really confused and stuff was happening," and
Yeah.
I was like I told her it was
Yeah, that's Nolan.
yeah, I told oh, she also was like, "I didn't understand what they were saying," and I was like, pretty much everything you said is accurate."
Yeah, you're not wrong. Especially
And
on an airplane too. That is not the optimal place to watch
oh,
that movie.
I feel like Tenet would be obviously infinitely more enjoyable in the right environment, but I feel Dunkirk lives and dies by the environment you're watching it. Like if you're watching Dunkirk on your phone, at that point you might as well be on YouTube and watching like footage of real wars because I don't feel like if you're watching Dunkirk on a phone, that's just not the same movie. You can watch that and you'd be like, "Ah, yes, okay. These beautiful British boys were drowning. Indeed." Like I feel like it just comes off so much coldly if you're watching it the wrong way. But if you're suddenly watching it in a theater setup or an actual theater, at that point, you too are one of the beautiful British boys that are getting blasted away. I'm going to keep using it because it's just fun to say.
You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong with anything you're saying. I guess the only thing I would say is I don't have a problem with that. I think some movies require a bit more work, I guess, to enjoy them, and I think Dunkirk is one of those, and I think if you were lucky enough to see it in theaters, then you got a better experience, but I don't think Nolan's ever been shy about how he wants to get people into movie theaters and watch his
Yep.
movies because that's the optimal way to watch them.
There is no reason to ever watch literally any Nolan movie in an airplane, on your phone, any TV that is smaller than, mm, you know what? I'm going to be kind. Smaller than 42. If you have a TV smaller than 42 and you're watching a Nolan movie, I'm sorry, you're wrong. If you're watching on a tablet, you're wrong. So,
Yeah, and I'm just gonna back up a bit. If you're watching a movie on your phone, I don't care what the movie is, you're wrong. That just seems weird to me.
oh, that's already wrong. Absolutely. But, I'm going to be just a little kind for once in my life that I'm going to say if you're watching a comedy on your phone, you know what? Fine. Fine. I get it. I get it. No, I
It's
don't get it.
acceptable.
Ugh, it's one of those things that you turn your blind eye to. You're like,
Yeah.
fine. We're if we started judging about this, society's gonna fall. So, in my best interest, I'm not gonna let society fall just yet. Whenever we have a political party for the furries, that's when we have to burn everything
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with you day one, brother.
down. So. I think at a baseline, we both find Dunkirk impressive, right? Like it is absolutely an experience worth going through, right?
Oh, correct, and I think we can both agree that's the best part of the movie.
Yes, correct. I think where we differ is you still think that it is an experience for people to go through. I feel like me personally, I wouldn't tell people to watch Dunkirk because I feel like Dunkirk for me, in my head, it takes a war movie and it basically takes the anxiety that you get from watching either Good Time or Uncut Gems and puts it together. Like I think that
That's
is
a really good way of putting it.
yeah. And for me, the thing is that you could spend 2 hours in Dunkirk and watching a war movie that has the stress of that, or you could go watch another war movie and then watch Good Time or Uncut Gems. Like that's what I get that that's asking for 2 more hours, but I feel like I would recommend people to watch them separate than watching Dunkirk. Even with how much I actually really like the ending because but that's the thing. I feel like it's the sound design again and the music that gets me to the ending for Dunkirk.
Yeah, that's fair. I think normally, like, I get what you're saying, and I partially agree with it. The only thing I will say in Dunkirk's defense, if that movie was even 15 minutes longer, that would have been too long. And I think it's so lean and cut so short, especially compared to all of other Nolan's movies, that for me, that's an experience that I think you could still have. You could watch an hour and 46 minutes of it. You're gonna take your deep breath at the end of that movie. You'd be like, okay, we're fine now. And then honestly, I could go and probably watch something like Uncut Gems even right after that. Even though you're gonna be going through a similar traumatic situation, I think Dunkirk ends on a positive enough note that you're not gonna be, I guess, mortified is what I put it.
Okay, I just checked. 106 minutes. I swear that movie was 2 hours, and I was about to say, I was like,
No,
no. I was like, no way, you need to cut 10 minutes. Wha-
it's
I,
lean.
yeah, that's actually probably Nolan's shortest movie since he actually started getting a budget, huh?
Yes, besides Following, which was his kind of a short, it's not really a full length movie.
Mm,
That is his shortest movie, as far as I know.
mm, okay, I mean, you're not wrong. It's not too much of a time investment, but I also still think that. eh, Yeah, I'll drop that. So instead, I will go into praising territory. I love the ticking clock that Hans Zimmer uses. I love it so much. Mostly because I love it when you get to the end and you just hear the ticking clock that was on the entire time suddenly just cut out.
Oh, it's
That
great.
that moment right there is just so impactful where you're like, "Wait, I'm I'm not stressed anymore. What the
Hmm.
hell just happened?" Like
Yep.
that's so good of a moment and
Hmm.
then you have Hans Zimmer finally going, "Okay, cool. I can finally put your back to the back of the seat again. We're going to have a nice sweeping score, and we're going to have the usual thing that Nolan likes to do in his movies, which is where he has a speech that summarizes the entire movie. And I'm not going to lie, I love that shit. Like, I really love that shit. I love it in The Dark Knight. I love it in Inception. I love it in Interstellar. It is Nolan's trademark that I truly believe that if you have an ending that leaves you high like that, then you will totally forget so many things in the movie that might have pissed you off.
True.
Now, Dunkirk for me, that's I feel like what tricked me for a little bit. I was like, man, I love that ending. And then I think, what happened before that? And I'm like, okay, beautiful British boys. We got discount Matt Damon cracking his head on the thing and going blind. We got Scarecrow being scared as shit. The irony in that. And then we have Tom Hardy, my boy Tom Hardy, which, by the way, this one does not stay in my collection, but the only reason it would have been as a demo disc for Tom Hardy's flying scenes, because holy shit, the IMAX scenes on that, oh my god, they're gorgeous. They're absolutely things that I would use to show off my TV. But at the same time, I also feel like I would probably just put on Top Gun as well.
That's fair. Can't argue with that.
So, yeah, Dunkirk. I'm not positive on it. Well, actually, no. It feels weird. We're seeing the same thing and then have different takeaways. That's, I feel like, is a better thing to say than me being negative and you being positive.
I agree.
All right. So that's Dunkirk. I toss it back to you.
4 stars out of 5.
Oh yeah, you're right. Damn, you see, this is why you're here. My, you know what? I screw it. I don't even want to be creative. I'm gonna score this a beautiful British boys out of 10.
That's, you know what? That sounds like a high score, so I'm going to take that.
Look. You want to know what else has beautiful British boys?
What the?
Pop songs. So I don't know how we feel about that. I most of the time hate them.
All right, moving on. Next up, I don't have too much to say about this, and it's actually been a bit. So this is probably the thing I'm like least prepared to talk about. But this is my last movie television, and that's Mr. Robot.
Ooh.
Mr. Robot, I did finish season 3 finally, and I got a couple episodes into season 4. Unfortunately, I haven't watched any since then, just because it's been gaming new release craze, as we'll get into.
Oh yeah.
I haven't had a chance to watch any more since then, and I do need to get back to it. What I do want to say is season 3 was absolutely fantastic. It was so well acted, so well executed. The vision that he had, and he obviously knew where he was going after the rough and the kind of the rough season 2 in general. I feel I didn't like that one really at all. Everything turns around by it. It ties together all so well. Even some of the side characters that I didn't like to begin with, I find more tolerable by the end of season 3. And I can't think of his name. I need to look this up. But do you know the kind of guy that plays the problem solver in
Problem
in
solver.
Mr. Robot? They got the mustache.
Oh my god, I can see it. It's Bobby Carnival. I know for sure that that's who the actor's
Okay.
name is.
God, he's so good. You know the scene I'm talking about, right? At the end of season 3?
Of course, the axe.
It's
Oh my
so
god.
good. It is ridiculously well acted. The entire season of watching him, I'm like, this guy's gonna pop off. This guy's gonna pop off. Something's gonna happen with this guy. And then he finally fucking pops off. And it's so good. But no, season 3 is just, I cannot say enough good things about it. Like, that season kind of made me understand why people are so high on this show in general. I think it's better than season 1 and did light years better than season 2.
To make myself clear.
It's so good.
Oh, the fact that he has the note in his hand, and I'm just like, ah.
It's so good. Like, it's ridiculous.
The final
And it sucks too.
turn.
And the FBI agent is one of my favorite characters in that show too. So
Oh, she is so great. Oh my god. I Season 3, you don't understand how excited I was because season 2, I thought the opening was pretty weak and it had to make its ground back from that. And of course, since I watched it week to week, like that was probably even more painful for me. But I thought by the time we got to the end, I was like, okay, you know what? You still earned your spot. I'm going to keep watching you. So it felt so good to be rewarded with season three, where season three just felt like, hey, season two, we were never off. What are you talking about? We literally just are going to jump back to the same quality that the end of season one had, and not just season one, the ending of season one, which was already pretty strong, and all they did was just keep climbing from there. Oh my god, season three is one of those rebound seasons that I can't believe how good it is. And I'm still really willing to blame the fact that season two, because it was anticipated, that is the one thing that probably hurt it. And the other thing being that Sam Esmail, he tried to direct most of season one, but didn't. But him directing every single episode of season two, I think probably hurt the show more than it should have. But by season three, he knew how to be able to do that. And I think season three excels for that. And then season four, he knows what the fuck he's doing at that point.
Yeah, like I said, I'm only 2 episodes into season 4 so far. They were both very good episodes as well, so I'm really excited to finally finish it, and then I'll probably have more thoughts on it then. I don't wanna talk too much about it just because I kinda wanna get it done and out of the way, and then I can go back and talk more about it,
Of course.
but I had to at least mention it because season 3 was really fucking fantastic.
I don't even want to talk spoilers. Look, we've already talked about Mr. Robot so many times. People, the show is worth it. You heard him go through season two and he didn't like it, and even I think it's weaker, but still enjoyed it. We're both on the same side here for once. All right, actually, no, not for once. It's only in the Discord that we're usually at odds. Here, somehow we end up agreeing more often than not.
Yeah, it's almost like when you actually talk to a person, you can have your thoughts put out better than on the internet.
What? You're telling me Twitter isn't the best way to tell people to fuck off? What?
Yeah, no, see, right now we're talking, there's no block button. I mean, technically, we could disconnect the stream, but
That's it. That's it. I'm calling Jason Schreier here. I'm gonna get you blocked somehow. That's it. And by
uh,
asking help, I got blocked. Beautiful. Great. All right.
yeah,
Sick.
there you go. There you go. But yeah, no, definitely, if you're on the fence about Mr. Robot, give it a shot and stick with it. It does, like, season 2, I don't think season 2 is bad, it's just fine, but it definitely, once you get out of that, it kinda goes to a whole nother level, and it's definitely worth watching.
God, that's wonderful. All right. So back to me.
Yeah, so that's all of my movies and TV, so you drive movies and TV from now on.
Got it. All right. So I've got basically two more entries. I got Hacksaw Ridge. Have you seen Hacksaw Ridge?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
This movie feels hokey. This
Okay.
it's so weird because it feels hokey and it feels like almost nostalgic. Okay, Dorian, whenever you hear someone say like, "Oh, that's the good old days, men were women," sorry, men were women, men were men, women were women. We
I
were
don't know
all
about
out
that, Daniel.
there.
Those good old days.
We tried lynching people. Okay, no, never mind. I'm not going to that joke. It just feels like whenever there's things like people go like, "I was all like that in the good old days." It feels super idealistic like that, but then you also have Mel Gibson directing, so you also have the most ridiculous, over the top violence that is so jarring where it becomes a completely different movie, but still keeps trying to be the same movie. The first half is pretty much just this drama. Actually, wait, do you know anything about Hacksaw Ridge in general?
So it's funny. I just brought it up on IMDb.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought this was a completely different movie. Like I thought this was a movie from like the 80s or the 70s. I didn't realize this was such a new movie. So I guess I don't know anything about this now.
Okay, all right. So I will give you nothing more than what the trailer has. You
Okay.
have Andrew
So
Garfield.
you're gonna give me the whole movie.
What a good trailer! A good trailer.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
All right, I'm gonna give you the good trailer, which is that Andrew Garfield, he stars and he is a kid that does not want to kill, but he still wants to help out in World War II. So that is the movie. And there is a certain event in his life at the Battle of Hacksaw Ridge in the Eastern Theater that's where the movie centers on. So the first half of the movie is pretty much his story to establish him and everything he had to go through. And then the second half is Hacksaw Ridge itself. Now, it's hilarious because the first half, like I'm thinking, man, this is like really hokey. This feels cheesy is the wrong word because I feel like there's a right way to do cheese. I feel like it's just hokey. Hokey feels like the right word, and it feels so idealistic. And I'm just like a negative person in general, so this was grinding against me. And then eventually, when we got to probably the end of this section, I realized, oh crap, I like these people. I actually really like them. I care about them. This is fine. You know what? It's so idealistic and happy, but I think I'm into this. And then the second half, I don't feel bad telling you about this, but there is a scene where a person you assume is dead pops up. They scream, and immediately after, a bullet runs through his face, blasting him to complete smithereens. And the person that was looking at him also gets blasted to smithereens. And it's so ridiculously jarring to the rest of the movie where I was like, this is kind of a nice drama, like, I gotta see Andrew Garfield fight through the army, I'm okay with this. And then we get to fucking just, oh my god, the I've never complained about violence because most of the time most movies will upfront tell you this is the violence you're going to be getting, just get used to it.
Right.
The fact that halfway through it just suddenly starts becoming like, even probably Tarantino would tell you to roll it back a little bit. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Like, it's so comedically over the top violent, and the main character does not want to kill. So I feel like the entire half movie is like, you know what, this kid, he's a good kid. Everything that he isn't for, this is bad. And then the second half of the movie goes, fucking blow it all up, destroy everything. I need limbs right here. I need as much water as the Titanic had in 1997. I need that in blood, okay? And everyone just went, yes, yes, Mr. Gibson, yes, absolutely. And oh my god, it's so weird because I feel like on a technical level, wow, holy shit, this is really violent. Good for you, this is great looking. This doesn't feel like the right movie for it. I It's so weird because I still feel like that's enjoyable. Both of these things are enjoyable. I just feel like when you tie them at the hip like this, I felt really jarred.
That's a fair reaction to have. Isn't like so I'll be honest, I still even haven't seen The Passion of the Christ ever. So, but I isn't Mel Gibson known for his like gratuitous violence? Like,
Dude,
isn't that a thing?
I swear that Jesus has infinite amount of blood. I've never read the Bible, but it has to be canonical that Jesus can bleed for 40 days and 40 nights. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what that story was about. But Jesus in the Passion of the Christ has so much blood in him that you're just thinking at this point, he's a video game character. He's a video game character that as soon as you hurt him, his screen looks like there's jello on it, and then the Romans pull back up and he heals back up like he was a Call of Duty character. Like, that's what it feels like. That's how much blood he has in him.
Yeah. So okay. That sounds like a Mel Gibson thing. Then yeah, I'm not surprised.
Like, like that's the thing. It feels weird because I feel like I'd be positive more with this movie, but the way that all of that works, it's just it's jarring because it feels like, man, you could have probably just made another war movie. Like, if people forgave you for being an anti-Semite with just the first half of this movie, that would have been good. But I assume you needed the second half to be able to get the budget that you wanted.
Yeah.
uh, I fault this movie, but at the same time, I mean, it's directed still very well. Andrew Garfield's performance is great. He's just so charming, and it makes me sad that we just don't see him anymore. I mean, what? I'm so sad that the Spider-Man movies, I assume, just tanked his career. At least that's my assumption. But
You've seen those Spider-Man movies, right?
uh Yeah, you take me in
Yeah.
the direction you want to go.
No, 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 we could stop there because they're yeah, no, I don't wanna talk about them. But just yeah, I'm actually looking at his film list on IMDb, and yeah, you're right, he really hasn't done a lot, eh? That's interesting. As much as I don't like the Spider-Man movies, it really was never his fault.
Yes.
Like, he was fine. I don't think he was I I think he was miscast, honestly,
Hmm.
like, I don't know if he ever should have been Peter Parker. He was a fine Spider-Man itself,
Okay,
though,
yes.
but
Mm,
yeah.
I don't think it's a miscasting on his part. I think that they just didn't put any effort into making him look dorky. Because
Yeah, I agree.
you look
I
at
agree.
him as Peter Parker, you're like, that's a cool fucking dude. That's Spider-Man. He's
Yeah,
fucking Spider-Man. Oh my god, guys, do you not notice he's Spider-Man?
yeah.
Like, and then, of course, Tobey Maguire, you look at Tobey Maguire, like, this kid's a little bit of a dweeb. There's no way he could be Spider-Man, and that's part of Spider-Man.
For sure. Yeah.
So I feel like I blame the production more than anything else for him being a bad Peter Parker than it is, that, because it's not hard to make someone be a dork. He's capable of acting like a dork if he needs to. I mean, the scene where he's in the social network and he's in that Jewish club and he's just like so uncomfortably dorky. I buy that he can do it, and then he's a good Spider-Man. So I blame the movies and themselves and not him.
No, that's fair. And yeah, so Andrew Garfield though is a really good actor. I have no issues with him as an actor. So
Mhm. Under the Silver Lake is one that I will talk about eventually because I heard that that's pretty much a good allegory for Hollywood, and I enjoy good allegories that tear down pedophiles. So I'm going to watch that at some point. But yeah, I just want to see more of him. I jokingly thought, right? So Hugo Weaving pops up. Hugo Weaving. I love Hugo Weaving. I love it whenever he pops up. And I was jokingly saying, "Oh, Hugo Weaving pops up. I guess they filmed in Australia." And I finished the movie. I got to the end and the credits were still rolling and it said filmed in Australia. I was like, "Ah, I was right."
I love him. He gives no fucks. He's like, you come to me. You want me in your movie? You fucking come to me.
And every single time that someone says yes, you're just like, "Yes! Oh! Yeah, we got Hugo Weaving!" So, yeah, I was just so excited, and he was so good. He was Andrew
Who
Garfield's
doesn't age?
he
He doesn't age.
no, he does though. I'm looking at him right now. I can see the age on him. Agent Smith's getting old. I don't want to think
I'm
about
not gonna
this.
look then.
No, no, you don't need to look. All I know is that I just saw him and I was like, I love you. Thank you for being here. You're just so great. And between him and Andrew Garfield, I was like, man, this is so good. And Sam Worthington is a fucking tool, but like at least he's used effectively. Like every other good tool should be used. So I was completely okay with him here. But then every other character is a caricature. But then again, because the movie's so hokey, I forgave it.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I,
I don't know. Yeah, I'll be honest. You're like, okay, is this movie gonna stay in your collection?
oh,
I guess
absolutely
that's the
not.
question. Now.
No, no.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So then I'll probably never watch it then.
I like it, but the problem is that whenever I think of it in the collection, do I like it enough to knock something else out? No. So from there, the very next question is, do I like it enough as a demo piece? No. Okay, it's getting cut. Like that's pretty much what it is. The question is
Yeah,
always, is
that's
there
fair.
something else that needs to get cut to make this spot? And my shelf is full now. So at this point, this is where the hard game starts coming, and I start thinking, okay, what is really gonna make the cut? And I ordered a couple of comedy movies too, so this is going to be really fucking hard for me within the next few months because I'm going to have to start making hard cuts. I mean, like Shaun of the Dead is getting cut. Shaun of the Dead is getting cut from my collection.
I don't know. If I ever come to your place, I'm just gonna bring you a shelf, Ed.
No, no, but that's antithetical to the shelf. Like the whole point is that I already am a hoarder. Like if you've seen pictures of my theater room, I have 4 boxes. I've put most of the boxes in the attic, but these are the 4 boxes that I still want on display. I have maybe a little bit of hoarder tendencies, and the idea of the one shelf means that I do not start just buying movies like, oh, I guess I like that movie enough. Sure, I've got an extra shelf, might as well fill it in. Like that's what I'm trying to avoid. So that's my
Yeah,
idea with the
I
one
get it.
shelf. Mhm,
I get it.
yeah. So Hacksaw Ridge, I don't know. Maybe you can turn off your brain better than I can and not feel like it's as jarring, but I still really like it. It's just whenever I think about that, I feel like this should have been two different movies.
That's fair. I give your review an Andrew Garfield out of 10.
Ooh, you know what? I give it a Hugo Weaving being
Oh,
bludgeoned to death out of 10.
oh, I don't like that. I don't like that.
So the thing is that I feel like there's going to be a hyphen in between there. Like so Hugo Weaving not being bludgeoned to death, Hugo Weaving hyphen being bludgeoned to death. So is it Hugo Weaving being bludgeoned to death? That is up to you. Or is it Hugo Weaving as well as being bludgeoned to death? Could it be you being bludgeoned or someone else? It's all up to you. It's all up to you. So Hugo
Very
Weaving
Nolan-esque.
a Hugo Weaving dash being bludgeoned to death out of 10. I feel like it's a solid enough score. I respect it.
I'm good with that.
All right. So we're going to just round it out. We already got movie out of the way. Movie out of the way. Whatever. I'm going to let it roll. Uh, we already got movies out of the way. And Curb Your Enthusiasm is pretty much the only show I have. I'm not going to belabor this for too long. Curb Your Enthusiasm is just fucking hilarious, and it's just a show that I appreciate so much because in a world where comedy is usually ruined for me because I can just scroll on the internet and laugh as many times as spending 30 minutes with a comedy, at this point, if your show isn't just telling a 30-minute long joke for the entire episode with a couple of laughs sprinkled in, it's probably going to be really hard for me to get into it. So, Curb Your Enthusiasm, thankfully, every single episode is just one long joke for the entire time with sprinklings, and it's impossible to tell people what the joke is in an episode without it not being funny, and somehow at the same time still being funny if you watch it with context.
Yeah. Curb Your Enthusiasm's hilarious. I haven't watched a ton of it.
Mm.
Um, like even I maybe watched like 2 or 3 seasons of it. It's a show I've always wanted to get back to,
Mhm.
but it's fucking hilarious. Like it's so funny. Larry David is just he's a genius.
Just every single time that he has a situation, I just keep thinking, how is it that you got this? How is it that you got yourself into this situation, probably in real life, and then
Oh yeah.
you remembered enough to write it down and then be like, ah, but I would have done this and this would have been a funny tangent. And the fact that he
Yeah.
does that for separate stories that all interweave at the end of the episode, I just can't help but admire this man's writing.
It's so nonsensical most of the time, but it's just hilarious.
It's so good. That's pretty much it. I don't feel like there's much I can really what do you want me to analyze? Oh, well, it's a parable for the mass genocide in Rwanda. Like no, it's fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's just funny. It's hilarious. Once again, HBO Max. There you go. And I have one season and a couple of episodes left. And after this, I'm finally going to start watching Always Sunny, which I think I've only
Oh,
watched one or two episodes fully. And I don't even think
oh,
that's accurate.
you're in for a treat. I'm very excited to talk to you about that. I fucking love that show. It's my favorite comedy of all time. So
God, I don't even know what my favorite comedy is of all time. I'd have to really sit down and think about it.
comedy show, comedy
Oh,
show.
comedy show. Oh, okay. Arrested Development for me, probably. Like the first three
Ye-
seasons.
Okay, I was gonna say as long as we're talking about the first 3, yeah.
Yeah, no, no. Like I love callback humor. Like I know that you're older than me, but for me, I feel like one of the things that shaped my humor a lot more than I expected was the Fairly Odd Parents. And the Fairly Odd Parents, I actually think even if I went back to watch it, I would probably still think it's good writing because one of the things that they always did is a trope in comedy that I love, which is the rule of three when it comes to, well, no, not the rule of three, repetition. Whenever you can bring back the same joke and it gets funnier every single time, that's some shit that I love. And for some reason, whenever I think about it, I think, wow, that shaped a lot of the humor that I find funny.
Yeah, I've never actually watched that show, but I've heard good things about it.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's probably past your time, but that one
Yeah,
is one of the
unfortunately.
things that's one of the things that I feel like if I went back to watch, I would actually still probably enjoy it, which is a really good mark. Right, so, let's see. I think that's all of my movies. All right, games. I toss it back to you.
Well, I guess I'll start at the top of my list, and we can both intersect here then, if that's okay with Halo 2.
Oh, okay. And I will jump up with Halo 2. I beat this game. So did you. I will let you take the lead here.
Sure. It's great. I love shooting things. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite first person shooters of all time in a genre that I don't really enjoy all that much. But you give me sci fi, you give me fun shooting, good to go. I like the shooting more than the actual driving of the vehicles.
Mm,
Sometimes that drives me absolutely fucking nuts. I
no
hate
pun
how the
intended.
vehicles control in that game. But yeah, taking that stuff out of it, it's really great. I find the story really interesting. I don't watch all the lore bits, but I'm a story guy. I do like the story in those games. I think they're good. And I definitely think you see a pretty big progression when you go from Halo 1 to Halo 2. You still got to get that really cool kind of openy sandboxy gameplay,
Mm,
but with a more serious story, and they're starting to test out their narrative chops a little bit. So
Halo 2 for me, I like it when I am Green Man and I shoot stuff. And whenever I am not Green Man shooting stuff, I like it less. Like, I don't understand what it is. I don't even think it's just that I like Master Chief as a character more than the Arbiter. Anytime I was playing with the Arbiter, I was just like, I for some reason don't want to do this. And I think it's because most of the time they would give me the alien guns when honestly, just give me the BR. Just give me the
yeah.
BR. Let me pop some headshots. I have it turned on so whenever you pop a headshot on a grunt, you hear kids go, and like, I love that. So for me,
You
it's
didn't
just
like using the sword?
oh, okay. Oh, hold on, hold on. No, no, no. I will not be put on trial for this. There is nothing in the world I love more than that sword, okay? That
Okay.
sword, I would risk life and limb to go get that sword every single time. And did the actual fight call for that sword? Hell no. Am I still gonna use it? Hell yes. I love that sword.
Yeah, besides the BR, which is the best gun in the game in my opinion too.
Absolutely.
I was all over that sword. Every time I could get that sword, especially I found it even funnier to use as Master Chief. Just like Chief, just like fucking wrecking these aliens with the sword. Made me laugh every time. I don't know why.
I mean, because the idea of like Master Chief already being horrifying and now he has a gun. I mean, sorry, I jumped ahead of my
Yeah,
joke. I was gonna say, you know what? I'm going to try it again and I'm going to keep that part in still. Seeing Chief with a sword is already horrifying enough when you know that you see him alone, and that's scary enough. It's like seeing Superman and then giving him a gun. And I totally stole that joke. I
yes,
absolutely stole that joke. Snark Tank, you're a fucking great podcast and you're comedic geniuses. So it's one of those things where you see something already horrifying that's going to kill you, and then they just add something that's like, that is so unnecessary to how powerful you already are, and it somehow scares me even more.
yeah, I agree. But it's fun. I actually didn't mind the Arbiter bits as much. I agree, though. I do like playing as Master Chief more. I don't know. Maybe it's just that. Maybe that's just who I'm used to and who I like playing as, but that's definitely how I feel. Although the Arbiter story bits are really interesting. But yeah, it holds up really well for me, the gameplay. It's a lot of fun. I wish more first person shooters made me feel like that game. They're just so kinetic
Mhm.
and fun to play with a good story and decent lore and a really cool sci-fi setting on top of it. I've never found something that's matched that for me in terms of first person shooters.
Halo is just such a masterclass in shooting that even when you strip out so
Mhm.
much of that and then get Destiny, Destiny has survived this long off of its shooting mechanics when everything else is just pissing everyone off all the time. That's how impressive Halo's shooting is.
Oh yeah, if it wasn't for the shooting in Destiny, that game would
Mhm,
be dead.
exactly. So that is the incredible mark for Halo. Like that's how good the gameplay is. The vehicles, I can't stand the vehicles, and every single time the game made me get into a vehicle, I was like, I hate this. And I haven't felt swings like that except in anime. Whenever anime shows me something that I'm like, wait, that was cool. Wait, do I like anime? And then I wait 10 more minutes and I'm pissed and furious. I'm like, ah, there we go. I'm back to normal.
The only vehicle I liked is that big giant fucking tank one. I forget the
Oh,
name of it.
uh,
But where you Scorpion?
I don't know. I call her Sheila because of Red versus Blue.
Okay, Sheila, yeah. Like that's just fun because you can fuck shit up and you don't have to fucking concentrate on anything else. I like that. But other than that vehicle, I agree. Like the flying vehicles, the Warthog, they just
Oh,
controlled They control like shit. I'm sorry.
I wanted to choke someone out in that final flying section. I was like, this isn't
Oh,
fun. I don't want to do this. I
it
literally
sucks.
started landing on the ground and started trying to fight the vehicles with guns and grenades. I was like, I hate this. I will fight you with my bare fucking hands if I have to. Do not make me fly.
Yeah, no, the flying's particularly bad, and I don't know if it's that it's actually just bad or if it just controls bad. I think it could be fine. I can't get used to those controls, honestly.
I think it's controlled because, of course, Arkham Knight had the same controls for the Batmobile, and there were people who were like, "Ah, yeah, this is just like Halo," and then there's also people who went, "Oh God, this is just like Halo." So
Yeah,
I do
I
think it's
hated
a control thing.
I hated the vehicle stuff in Arkham Knight too. So
I just Halo 2 is so good, but I still have no proof that there was a story. I really don't.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, hey, like you could. That's the type of game where I'm a big story guy,
Mm.
but you could literally go through that entire game and skip all the cutscenes or half pay attention to them, and you'll still have a fantastic experience with it if you like that sort of thing.
I am Green Man and I must kill. That was the story that Halo had.
Yeah, no. So really good game. That game's actually a really high rated game for me. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It's maybe my favorite. We'll see when I get to Halo 3, but Halo 2 is definitely one of my favorite first person shooters of all time.
All right, perfect. Wrapping up time for Halo 2. I really like the multiplayer. My God, it's probably the only thing I feel like I'm just straight nostalgic for, just that multiplayer. What else? Vehicles suck. The redone soundtrack is phenomenal. One day I might invite people who understand Halo so they can explain Halo to me. I am going to give it a final score of plasma sword while riding a vehicle out of 10. I feel like that's the right
Yeah,
score.
and I totally glossed over that, but you're right. The music is phenomenal.
Oh my God.
Like the music, Marty O'Donnell that's his name, right?
Marty O'Donnell, I think, is the
Yeah,
only American or even just straight up Western composer that is the only reason why you can't immediately say that the Japanese composers are usually the ones in video games that are doing the top tier shit.
yeah, you're not wrong. But Marty O'Donnell absolutely holds up America.
This man is hard carrying the entire team, like the people who've been
Yeah,
playing Halo 2 for the last 2 decades and wreck my ass whenever I get on multiplayer.
yeah, no, he's great. Like, yeah, like just great stuff. And the only other thing I wanted to mention too, I did jump ahead with the score. I don't know why I jumped ahead so quick, but
No
I
worries, we got
wanted
it
to
out of the way
mention,
now.
yeah, I just gotta blab out scores. You know me. The fact too that this game was made under such a torturous development cycle, like I'm sure you've heard the stories, and
Yes.
if you haven't heard the stories, it's basically just this game was made in hell. Like you had to be made very quickly, like crunched the entire time, and the fact that it turned out as good as it did is just a fucking miracle in my opinion.
This game is so inseparable to me to Smash Bros. Melee, where both of these games were made in such quick turnarounds that there are things that are broken in the game. And this is in the time of development where if you actually had a game that came out broken, it somehow insanely made the game better. I don't know how you could ever achieve that nowadays. Like, if a game comes out broken nowadays, you have Cyberpunk. When a game used to come out broken, you got Smash Brothers and literally the entire esports scene around it. Fucking how?
No, you're totally right.
Halo 2, absolute masterpiece. It's so far the high watermark for Bungie, but then again, I've literally played 4 of their games.
Honestly, though, you're not far off. Like I got to play Halo 3 again, and I'm going to do that soon. It's on my upcoming game list. That game is probably a top 15 game of all time for me. So we'll see how it all shakes out after I play it again. But Halo 2 is definitely up there.
Oh, I can tell you right now, whenever you start Halo 3, that'll probably be my indication to get started too.
Perfect. Well, it'll be soonish.
All right, perfect. So you got Halo. My next one is just going to be a quickie again. I just kept playing Habroxia. I'm just playing it on my Vita. I leave the house. I bring my Vita. I don't feel like talking to people. I'll pull out Habroxia. Thank you, Colin, for letting me ignore people. I'm pretty sure you love that that's how the game's being used. Uh, Game good. I'm getting better. I saw it's 15 levels. I'm 10 levels in. I'm like, oh man, this is actually perfect. I'm probably playing it the right way. So Abroxia, I'm enjoying it.
You're
Good.
you're playing part 1, right? Not part 2?
Correct. Yeah, I haven't played.
Okay,
The only Lily Mo game I had played was Twin Breaker. That was it.
for sure. I bought them all, and I played probably 10 minutes of them all. So I would love to play more. I just suck at those type of games so badly, but I definitely do wanna give Habroxia a spin one day.
You do get your teeth kicked in immediately, but eventually you just kind of start getting it more. So, I do think that the way I was playing it is probably the right way. You just kind of pick it up whenever you need it. I bought Twin Breaker, and then as soon as the PlayStation Store sounded like it was going to get closed, I just started buying all the games. And I thought, well, yeah, why the hell do I not own all the Lily Mo games? So I just went and bought them all.
Nice.
So yeah, Habroxia, still very good. Give Colin Moriarty money. I like him. He's a good dude.
Shout out to Colin Moriarty.
Now I'm gonna tell you the Steelbook shipped. Cool. The God of War one and Spider Man and Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, you got him?
No, they shipped already, so they should be getting
Oh,
here
they
soon.
shi Oh, they shipped. Okay, sorry. The volume's a little bit low just
Oh
because
my.
I don't want it to pick up over the microphone.
Ah,
That's me though. That's me. I just don't want it to pick up. That's fantastic. I'm very excited for that God of War Steelbook.
oh,
I can't tell you how excited I am for that.
I'm excited for the Spider Man one. Okay, that was a nice little non sequitur. All right, so
I
that
could do a
was
whole 3-hour show on Steelbooks.
Oh my god, I can't. I can't. Oh my god. I don't even know what that looks like. That just we're an audio podcast and we're just going to start fighting about things that are specifically visual. God, that sounds
Steelbooks do be
hilarious.
cool though.
Steelbooks be so fucking cool. Oh my god. Oh. All right, that was my game. I toss it back to you.
Erica. Yeah. Wow. What a game. What a game. You actually watched some of this.
Oh my god.
Um,
I tried it
yeah.
a little
I
bit
well,
too.
basically you played the game too, honestly. So fuck it. Why don't you talk about it?
All right, yeah, Erica is a movie where occasionally you have to pick up your remote and press play. That's what it is. It's an interactive movie menu. You remember back in the days when DVDs were cool and people used to make interactive
Oh,
menus where you could like
love
put in the
those.
Konami code and they would show you like the trailer for the
Yes.
sequel. Like that's what
Yes.
that's what Erica is. Except you don't care about this movie. You were gifted this movie and you're thinking, I hate this actor. I don't know why I'm here. And then you watch it and you're like, wow, that wasn't even bad enough to laugh at. And then
No.
someone
Yeah.
forces you to pay attention every once in a while and pick up the remote to press play because it keeps skipping.
Yeah. I mean, at least it was short.
Yeah, but I mean, there's we are going to live long lives, but that's 2 hours that, at least if it were bad, it would be remarkable to make fun of. But Erica just feels like this is so sterile and just boring that it doesn't even give you the entertainment of something bad.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. When I'm like lying on my deathbed, I'm gonna be like, "Fuck! Why did I spend 2 hours playing Erica?" Like I will complain about that. Mark my fucking words.
You're surrounded by your loved ones, your wife, your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. The great grandchild comes like, grandpa, great grandpa Dorian, what are the last wishes that you want to let your family know? Get closer. Never play Erica. Life is too
Yeah.
short. Is that really what he said when he died? That's it? He has an
Oh
inheritance,
man.
damn it.
Yeah. 4 out of 10.
Damn, damn, damn. I'm gonna give Erica I'm gonna give Erica every complaint that you've given Kojima, give it to this game out of 10.
Yeah. And by the way, I did skip ahead again, but purposely. I don't want to talk about that fucking game anymore.
It's okay. The less time that we give it, the fucking better. I'm right there with you. Okay, so from here, I've got Nier Replicant version 1.0 and 1.2. So I'm
Beauty,
going
let's
to
talk.
literally just jump very quickly into 1.0. I didn't understand a goddamn thing that was going on because it was all in Japanese, and I literally, to try to get the platinum in this game, had Google Translate open on my phone. By the way, this is going to turn into me praising Google Translate more than anything else. You can point your camera at text and it'll translate it for you.
It's fucking awesome.
Oh my god, it's so fucking cool. There's no way I would have been able to platinum this game without that, without me losing my fucking mind going like, okay, that's a squiggle with a little house on it. Okay, that's a
So
bird
there's
with
no
an
English
eye.
option, I'm guessing, right?
No, that's it. I mean, so
Okay.
of course, Nier Gestalt, which is just Nier that everyone else knows, is the big ugly dude that's holding the big ass sword on the cover. And then Nier Replicant is the one that was only in Japan. And because I'm a
Right.
psychopath and I got it for my collection, and then something broke in me and I said, fuck it, I'm gonna platinum it. So that is yeah, I have a problem, yes, but at least at this point I can say that I've platinumed Nier in general 3 times. So that's still
That's
pretty
true.
fucking cool. So
That's true.
version 1.0, I didn't understand a fucking word that was being said. The only thing I learned that was actually pretty fucking cool is that Kaine actually curses in English, but they censor her in Japanese.
Oh, how fascinating.
Yeah, so apparently when it comes to it, when they translated the script over to English, they just said write whatever expletives you want. And I actually read some articles into that. Apparently some of the shit that they wrote in English was so bad that Square Enix told them like, "Hey, roll it back. We still need to get an M rating."
Yoko Taro.
Oh, dude, like that's incredible to me. But yeah, apparently in the Japanese version, whenever Kaine goes into her tirades, there is a literal beep that plays.
I always find the bleeps funnier too sometimes, so.
It didn't work because the one time that I noticed it was in the Shadow Lord's castle, and whenever she kicks open the door, she's like, goddamn. And I was like, this is a serious, like, this is okay, not a serious moment, but this is a moment that I should be taking a little more seriously. So to hear her kick
Yeah,
like
for the
that,
serious moments, it's not gonna work.
yeah, just imagine she's just like, Nier, I'm so sorry about you. You, and you're like, why did you could have just cut the curse word instead. So
True.
yeah, that's the only thing I can say about V1.0. I'm gonna hand it to you for V1.2.
Yeah, so Nier Replicant. This is obviously a game that you know intimately well that I finally got to experience. Nier Automata is so obviously if you know Ed even a little bit, you'll know how crazy he is about Nier and Nier Automata in general.
Oh,
And it's funny, I really love Nier Automata too. Nier Automata is my 5th favorite game of all time. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal game. So I was really excited to get into Nier Replicant. And I think overall Nier Replicant was very good. It definitely felt some age to me.
absolutely,
It's probably the worst side quests I played in a long time in a video game.
absolutely,
They're garbage. But you
yes,
get through all that. You get through that muck. You get the collecting all the weapons to get the ending. It's old. They should have changed that. They did in
yeah.
Automata. So I'm assuming that's not going to be like that in whatever Yoko Taro's next game is, hopefully.
Mhm.
So a lot they could tweak with that game, but that's not really what this was. This was just a remaster, remake kind of thing. And yeah, overall though, it's held up by the story and the characters.
Yes,
They're so good. The characters in this game. So look, I'm a big 2B fan. I love 2B. I think 2B is phenomenal. She's one of my favorite characters in a video game, maybe ever. I love 2B.
mm,
That being said, besides 2B, the cast of Replicant for me is far stronger than the cast of Automata overall.
absolutely.
I think Kanye is one of my favorite characters in general in video
Kaine,
games as
Kaine,
well. Say it again?
Kaine.
Kanye.
Yeah, so think like
Oh,
Cobra Kai and then Nei, like a
Kanye.
horse.
Okay, I'm probably gonna fuck that up again. Let me try not to.
Dude, the
Kanye.
funny thing is
Okay.
that in the Near Discord that I'm in, someone posted a picture of Kanye hanging out with Kaine because so many people were messing it up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, it's so good.
Kanye. Kanye. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kanye and Kanye. Kanye. Okay. Anyway, she's phenomenal. I love her. She's just written so great. Like, come on, like such a well job done there. Grimoire Weiss. I'm Grimoire Weiss. Weissy, as I like to call him. I hated him at first. I wanted to punch him out. By the end of the game, though, you love him.
Yes.
He's great. Emil's so sweet. He's horrifying as well, but how can you not love him? He's sweet. He's a sweet boy. He's what I think how you feel about 9S is how I finally felt about Emil in this game. I love him. I'll defend him. I think he's great. So yeah, the characters are just so good in this game.
Oh, this brings me so much joy. I just love hearing Near gushing. Oh my god, I'm so
Oh yeah,
excited.
like it's so easy to gush about the characters in this game. The story I think is a little bit weaker than Automata personally.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's bad in comparison. Like, I think it's
Uh,
close. I think it's still
Absolutely.
a very good story. Especially, I'll say this too. d- uh, are we talking spoilers or no?
You know what? Hold off for a little bit
Yeah.
until you feel like you have enough of the general thoughts, and then we can go into spoilers
Okay.
for a little bit.
That's fair.
Mhm,
So okay, I'll get into that in a bit then.
mhm.
So character story, great. The music,
Oh my
Ed, the
god!
music. Look,
Oh!
I'm not a music and video games guy. We know this. And I actually undersold the music in Automata. I actually did listen to the entire album on Spotify. It's really good. Persona's still my favorite of all time, but
Mhm,
that's more of a time and place feel thing for me, I think, at this point now, just because I love Persona 5 Royal so much. That being said, the music in Automata is incredible. Gun to my head, I probably say the music in Replicant's better. Besides Weight in the World, I don't think Weight of the World, I don't know if anything impacted me as hard as Weight of the World,
yeah.
but overall, the music in Replicant's just so harrowing and well done. Like, what's the composer's name?
Kechi Okabe, and of course, it's not only him, but he's a good figurehead to always pin it on. His
Right.
team is the Monaka team, and the Monaka team are the ones that you can probably credit more easily, so it doesn't seem like we're just giving him credit, although he does deserve a lot of credit.
Right. Well, well, shout out to them because honestly, the
Yes.
music is so well crafted in this game. Playing this game on mute would be a disservice, and for me, that's a big compliment.
My god.
um,
I will follow the Monaka team if they ever show up anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. Like, that is how committed I am to this music. If they show up in Canada, the US, Mexico, uh, Chile, like, it doesn't matter. North America, Central America, South America. If you show up in this hemisphere, I'm going to figure out how to get to see you at least once.
yeah, if they ever came to Canada, I would definitely probably go. Honestly, like that would be a show I would like to see. So the music's really good. And yeah, like it's a very good game. I think my take on it, since I've put a bit of time since I last played it, I do think I've softened on it a little bit.
Mhm.
I still think it's a very, very good video game. I think there are parts of it that just feel really aged to me,
Oh, yeah.
and it makes it harder for me to appreciate it, especially compared to Automata.
Mhm.
And one thing I'll say, and I don't mean this as an insult to Replicant, even though it might sound like it,
Mhm.
but Replicant made me really want to fucking play Automata again and
Mhm.
just appreciate how fucking incredible that game is.
Yeah.
Even though Replicant's fantastic on its own, I feel like playing Automata now, I would understand a whole hell of a lot more than I did going into that game for the first time.
Which is weird to me that you say that because I still feel like the ties between Near Replicant and Automata are threadbare until you get to ending E. I don't think you get to Automata and you'll be like, oh wow, oh my god, this was the connection. It's gonna be. I'm going to just tell you one connection that do you mind? It's literally just one thing that is on the level of how the library is. I'm trying to keep that vague for anyone.
Are you asking me? Go, yeah, go ahead. Go
Okay,
nuts.
all right. So you remember the robots in the desert?
And
Automata.
Automata? Yeah.
Okay, so this is the kind of shit that you'll see going from Replicant into Automata. Like in Automata, the robots there have the masks on from Facade.
Oh.
So that's the kind of stuff that you're going to be getting. I don't think it's going to be like, wow, holy shit, there's a completely different way to see the story. It's going to be those small little breadcrumbs where you're like, oh my god, that was a callback? Like that's what you're going to be running into.
That's fair. It's more just because I remember Popola, Devola, and Automata, and obviously their characters are a lot more impactful and replicant, and they're always there. Even Emil being an Automata. So
Oh,
I kind of
dude.
want to just trace back those connections is kind of what I'm looking at. I don't know when I'll have time to go back to it, but I definitely do want to go back to it. Yeah, I'm not expecting Automata to completely open up for me like a new perspective. I already love the game as it is anyways, but I do feel that there's some knowledge to be gained there, having played Replicant first for sure.
Sadly, you want to know what's the thing that would actually enlighten you the most? It is actually collecting all the weapons and doing no, I'm
Ah,
not joking. It's
that's funny.
comedic. You can pretty much play Automata normally, but if you want Automata the sequel to Nier, you have to collect all the weapons to get that extra bit of story where you're like, "Oh, there's the sequel stuff. There it is."
Well, that's what my friend YouTube.com is for, so I'll have to
Correct. Oh, trust me, I'm
I'll
I'm
have
I'm not gonna blame you for that.
I'll probably look into that. I mean, we'll see. I'm honestly not planning on going back to Automata soon,
Mm.
but if I go back to it when I have some time, fuck it, maybe I'll do it. Who knows? How bad can it be to get all the weapons? It can't be as bad as Replicant, right? Right?
Uh, Now hold
Right?
on. I want to be sure that okay, ending Y for Near Automata because I know that I was trying to get the platinum and I got all the weapons, but I was also trying to. Oh no. Okay, yeah. For the love of God, please YouTube it. You'll need to find every single weapon and upgrade them all fully. Yeah, YouTube this
Oh
shit.
yeah. YouTube.com. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, I cannot recommend it unless you're insane like I am. Then at that point, all the power to you. But yeah, pretty much collecting all the weapons, upgrading all, and that will be basically the way that you can get the actual sequel to Replicant to some
Perfect. But yeah, that's basically my surface level thoughts of Replicant. Obviously, you've talked about it extensively on this channel, on
degree.
this podcast. So I don't want to go too far into it, but if we can go into a little bit of spoiler talk, I have a little bit more to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So from here, the one thing I will just say is that my opinions on Nier are very apparent. I'm really just holding off on V1.2 talk in general, but just know that if I'm already positive on the original and that's not really a good game, you could imagine how I am about V1.2. So from here, count it down, Dorian.
Three, two, one, action. I think if I had okay, Near Replicant's an interesting game. So you finish ending A, and by the end of ending A, this game, I love this game. Like I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, and I still think it's really good. Then you kind of go through ending B, ending C, and then thankfully ending D is not as bad to get back to. But ending B and C,
If you know what to do.
you know what to do exactly. Plus, you can just save right before and just do that last stretch. B and C, you basically have to replay the whole second half of the game. And I just feel that Automata did that way better. I think Automata was smarter in the way it did, and I think it's just Yoko Taro realizing, okay, like he's just coming into his own as a guy making games, realizing the best way to do his craft. And I think that's why Automata is just such a step up. Now, that being said, it was still enjoyable. I still managed to get through it. And then you get to ending E, and I actually didn't mind the first half of ending E, I think, as much as you hated it.
Oh my god, I
uh,
wanted to murder someone.
yeah, so I didn't hate it that bad, especially because I do when in my head it's such a mental thing for me because I you'd already kind of warned me and prepared me, I think, and that helped. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this again, and then I'm gonna get new stuff. And then you get to that new stuff, and it makes not only does it make the first half of ending E worth it, but it also kind of makes the grind in B, C, and D worth it. Because without that E, I don't know if I would have enjoyed everything as much if I'm being honest with you. Like that second half of ending E really makes everything you just did, and I'm talking about B, C, all of that worthwhile in my opinion.
Okay. So, of course, I'm going to try and abstain from the 1.2 stuff. I'm probably going to end up touching it, but the thing is, I don't want to accidentally kneecap the next one. So, when it comes to this, if V 1.2 never existed, right, and they somehow just ported straight up the original Nier, I would have told
Right.
people play ending A, play B run, right? Get all the way to the end, drop it from
Yeah.
there. Do not play C run, do not play D run. It is not worth it. All right.
Yeah.
There are certain additions that are in C and D, but I don't think they're worth it because I feel like they're just giving you a little bit more context, but it's just stuff you could have inferred to anyways. So
Yeah, I agree.
that's the problem that I have with that. And of course, I, being the psycho that I am, decided to play through A, B, C, and D. And if anyone listened to those spoiler casts, I straight up wasted your time for like 10 or 20 minutes in the third part by just reading off a list of everything that I did in C Run, which was all the side quests, and telling you how much I hated doing C Run because of that. Like, I cannot stand it so fucking much. And yet, when you get to the moment in ending E when it finally starts, I cannot tell you how much immediately all that hatred just turned into love.
Yeah, it was really cool how they did that.
Oh my god. So, yeah, pretty much if people stop at B run, I think that is a worthwhile game. Now, I'm talking original Nier. Of course, if we're talking V1.2, if people stop at B run, boom, you got a fucking great game. Like, absolutely. Anyone who stopped at A, I feel like you did yourself a disservice and got lesser of a game.
Yeah, I think A run's really good. I think B run's fine. It's C. C run for me is kind of where the teeth started to drag a little bit. And I feel like that's where it gets a little bit rough for me. I do think it's worth going through to get to ending E personally,
Yes, agreed.
but I can understand someone dropping B and just watching videos after that.
But of course, I feel like it would make more sense if they actually watched a playthrough of C&D because
Yes.
there's just if you try to watch that just straight up. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of B run. If someone tried to skip B run, it's like, oh no, no, that is the wrong
No,
choice.
you can't skip B.
C&D, you know what? Yeah, I understand that, but E run really justifies C run. Like that's how good E run is, and I look, I'm just super positive about it. Oh, this is so difficult because I'm just trying not to. I showed my hand, but there's so many details that
Yeah, I
don't
don't want
even
to
want.
take I don't want to take material from your next episode here.
No, no,
So,
no. That's the thing.
um,
It's just what I want to say. You can completely go hog
yeah,
wild on everything E since we're in spoilers right now. But
yeah,
basically,
it's
if you stop at B run, you got the best possible game. If you're playing the original game, but ending E makes it worth it. I toss it to you for E run.
It really does. It really does. Like the second that, and I remember because I didn't know much. Like you clued me in on some of it and where to play to and all of that, so I knew some of it was going to happen.
Mm.
But I remember you kind of get that cutscene where she's like falling down. I don't know what she's falling down into, but she's falling down, and I'm like,
Depression and death.
right, right. There we go. And I'm like, I said out loud, I'm like, Jesus fuck, when is the new stuff going to begin? And then you see the hand coming, and then it just goes away, and she drops down. And I'm like, oh, new stuff finally. But it was a really cool way to do that and introduce that. That was like the perfect spot to do it. So it kind of in that, I still think you could have fucking skipped ahead a little bit and put the player back a little bit further ahead, but they also didn't really want you to discover ending easily, it looks like, anyways, because it doesn't tell you to do it,
Yeah,
right? Like every other ending, it's like, hey, keep playing through to get ending B. Hey, keep playing through to get ending C. Hey, keep playing through to get ending D. Once you finish ending D, they're just like, okay, fuck you, new title screen, play a new game if you want.
it's.
So they kind of hide that.
I mean, the thing is, the game is too faithful, but I also can't fault them for it. Like that's
No,
the weirdest thing to me. No matter how much I hate that they kept all of these things that were so annoying, I almost want to commend them because it it didn't it's the wrong term. But, like they didn't whitewash the fact that it wasn't that good of a game. Like
yeah,
I feel
stick
like
to your vision.
yeah, I feel like that's actually really commendable that they're like, no, we probably know the problems, but we want to be able to present this game and fix the things that probably were just things that got cut for scope. Like the couple of
Yeah,
things
well,
that they introduced that were cut content back into the game, like that's the shit that has me so excited because that's the moment where I was thinking, oh my god, even though you guys faithfully translated the shit that sucks, you guys every time that you went off script and created something new, it is the best parts of the game.
yeah. No, I'm really excited. Actually, I honestly haven't had time to go and listen to your Near Replicant spoiler
I'm
cast.
so
I mean,
sorry.
it's 8 hours long, so
Yeah,
I got to make
seriously.
time for
I
that.
don't expect
But
anyone to listen to it. It was just for me.
I am actually excited to listen to it just because I want to basically hear the differences. So yeah, I'm excited to hear that.
Oh, so the funny thing is that you actually will hear some of the differences, but they're still included. That's how fucking good my spoiler cast was. I included the shit that they cut out to reintroduce into the game.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's very that's what we call thorough.
so
Very
yeah,
thorough. But yeah, no, so ending E ends beautifully. I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's a really fun game. It's really great. I don't have like any negative things I have to say about it are basically things that really I mean, there are the game's fault, but it's just age related stuff.
yeah,
It's Yoko Taro improving as a game designer, I believe.
yeah.
Automata was his his masterpiece, and hopefully he brings out something next that can top that or come close to that. We'll see. But that was just him taking everything he did with Replicant and making it better. I appreciate him bringing Replicant though, because I do think that's a game that's definitely worth playing, especially if you're a fan of Automata.
This game. Go for your score because I need to think of the right praiseworthy thing to give this score.
My score is really, you know what? It's tough for me to give a score to this game right now because I gave it an 8 out of 10 originally. I've been thinking about dropping it to a 7.5. I think I'm going to stick with an 8 for now, though, honestly. Like, it's a really good game. An 8 to me is something that demonstrates just, it's basically like, you know how they used to have the Nintendo seal of quality for certain games?
Mhm,
That's basically like the Adaholic seal of quality if you get that 8 out of 10.
mhm.
So I think that game definitely deserves it. So I'm going to stick with that for now.
All right. My score, right? We're going to give it a couple of scores. We're going
All
to
right.
give it this soundtrack would have me travel all across the country out of 10. We're
I
also
concur.
going to give it a I love this series and it's probably my favorite IP out of 10. And
High praise.
we're going to give it a Kaine out of 10.
Very high praise. Very high
Mm,
praise.
the highest marks that we can give it. That's mm, oh my god. They're problems, absolutely, but I feel like the fact that they did this problems again somehow absolves it. I can't even begin to process how that works for me. Okay, I just
I
love
get it.
this game.
It's a
Okay,
special game.
so I'm actually going to take the charge here because the next
Okay.
games that I have on the list, I'm just gonna bundle them together because I don't think that there's much I can say about them.
Okay. Fair enough.
All
Go.
right. So I have MGS2 here. I finally platinum it. It took me so many months. I think it might have actually taken me a little bit less than a year. All I know is that the game design in Metal Gear Solid 2 is just so fucking good. Trust me, this doesn't even really count. I'm not talking about Metal Gear Solid 2 as a story because I skipped every cutscene. Okay, like this is just
Yeah, and we're gonna do a proper discussion on Metal Gear one day on Metal Gear Solid 2.
yeah, exactly. So
Like
so trust
but
me.
that game's getting its own 2-3 hours to talk about.
Absolutely. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2, talking it from a trophy and gameplay perspective only, okay? Trophy list, god damn, that trophy
Oh,
list
is it
is
bad?
fucking hard. Dude,
Oh, I didn't realize. Oh,
I
hard or bad though? Like
hard and bad.
oh, okay, it's bad too. Okay.
No, no, like, Dorian, you don't understand. I had to become a fucking master at MGS2, and I am now. I played it on the hardest difficulty, and at the very end, I had to defeat 20 Metal Gear Rays with literally one ration. That's it. And then at the end of the game, I had to fight Solidus Snake with a sword and no rations with literally no health. You couldn't see the color in my health bar and I fucking did it. I'm a master at this game now.
Can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Why do you hate yourself?
Because I love Metal Gear Solid more than I hate myself.
All right, that's a good answer.
So yeah, holy shit. And I did it. I did it. The gameplay, I feel, never had me pissed off, which is super impressive. It is just that immaculately designed that eventually I just learned how the AI works and how to manipulate that to my advantage. And the VR missions, once again, are comedically easy until the very last mission. So the way that the VR missions work is that it works on each character. So you work as just Snake, then you do it as quote Pliskin, you do it as Raiden, and then you do it as Naked Raiden, and then you do it as Robot Raiden. Like they just have different character skins for the same character, but it's the same missions. So it's super monotonous. And then they introduce Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake. And I go in there, I'm like, okay, this is the final one, just time to do the same thing I did over and again. And here's the thing. Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake is the hardest fucking shit I've ever had to do in a Metal Gear Solid game. Like it is comedically above and beyond some of the hardest stuff in the entire game. Like it's hilarious how they just there's no difficulty curve. It's just two separate levels of seafloor and fucking Mount Fuji. Like it is so difficult. But the gameplay is good that I always realize it was me that was the problem. It was never the gameplay except when they took out away your radar. And that was when I was like, oh my god, I have to learn this game even deeper than I already do.
Kojima, go fuck yourself.
Kojima, I love you. Oh my god, you have the most insane stories in games, and I would not be the same person without you. And you have the gameplay to back it up, including to the point where it becomes my Dark Souls.
That's the thing. I think a lot of people, not to go off onto a tangent, but
No, go for it.
like when we talk about Metal Gear Solid V specifically,
Hmm,
people are always like, "Oh, the gameplay is so fucking great in this game," and it is. It's my one of my favorite gameplay loops of all time. Don't get me wrong. I think it's
agreed.
amazing. But they're like, "Yeah, why couldn't the other Metal Gear Solid games be like this?" And I'm like,
Bullshit.
slow your brakes.
Bullshit.
Slow your brakes. Hold on. They're different, but Metal Gear Solid has always been fucking fantastic gameplay-wise, and I disagree on a fundamental level with anyone who says otherwise on that one.
They are very jarring to get into. That's about it. That is
Oh,
the
absolutely.
most I will give. Where it's just like, oh my
Absolutely.
god, why do I can't move while I'm
There's a
aiming and
learning
stuff?
curve.
Yeah,
There's a learning curve.
and then as soon as you get past that curve, dude, I became a fucking master at holding up guards. Dude, there is one VR mission that is actually literally impossible on Vita unless you have a third hand. There are 8 guards, right, in a row, 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and you have to go in and hold each one up with like a second of a fraction of a difference that if you do this wrong, you will fail automatically. And
Jesus.
yeah, so on PS3 and PS2, these are pressure sensitive buttons. So to hold people up with an automatic weapon, you have to lightly press square. If you press square too hard, you kill them, you alert them, you're done. So they hand you an assault rifle with infinite ammo, and you have to go in and hold up 4 guards with a split second difference and then hold up 4 more guards. So you have to do this twice. You know how to hold up guards in on the Vita version? You have to press down on the D-pad. You're moving while holding them up. So it is actually impossible unless you're clawing one side of your Vita to be able to hold them all up. It is actually impossible to do it on Vita, and it's hilarious that they didn't even change that for that platform.
Yeah, fuck them, right?
Oh my god. It's I have both platinums now, okay? That's what I'm glad about.
It's over. It's done.
What a lovely game though. So
Oh, it's a great game still. I just mean you never have to go for those fucking trophies again.
but at least this way, if anyone's ever like, oh well, you know what, I'm a bigger Metal Gear fan, it's like, motherfucker, I played this game on every single difficulty, and every single person who had a name on a dog tag I have on a save. Fuck off if you think that I'm not dedicated.
Anyone who uses that argument to begin with is a chode, to put it nicely. So,
So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 gameplay trophy. Yeah, that's where we're standing. I'm gonna give
oh
that
yeah.
a I at least have the platinum out of 10.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I'm not even going to give it a score because I'm going to save that for when we actually talk about Metal Gear Solid.
Mhm.
But that's my favorite gaming franchise of all time. So
Agreed.
high esteem for those games. And two is like one of my least favorite ones, but I still fucking love that game
Yes.
like to death.
Metal Gear
So
Solid 2, easily favorite franchise of all time. So moving on, just because I want to keep going, because like once again, like after this, it's nothing too crazy. South Park Stick of Truth, it's still pretty fucking funny. I'm just wrong in that I don't want to play it that often. That's about it. I toss it to you. That's all my thoughts.
oh, that's it. I actually Stick of Truth was great. I love that game. It's been a long time since I played it. It's short. It's fun. They did a great job with it. I believe that was an Obsidian game.
Correct.
Love Obsidian. They make banging stuff. It's basically like a South Park episode. If you like South Park, you'll love it. So, did you finish it or no?
No, that's the thing.
No,
I've
right?
just been
No,
playing it very slowly. Like I realize
right. That's
I'm
fair.
the one wrong here. Like every time I play it, I'm like, this is just so good. And I don't think it's me savoring it. Like I'm just playing it. And then eventually I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I just stop.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, hey, I mean, it's not a very long game, so if you do that enough times, you'll finish it.
Oh
So,
yeah, no, that's the thing. It's not a knock against the game. It's literally me for this time, where it's just like I don't feel like playing right now. Which is why the next game I'm playing is actually connecting with me more because it makes a little bit more sense to play it like this, which is Tony Hawk Remake 1 and 2, which I don't think I'm very good at this game. I don't think I am going to be very competent in this game. I'm literally getting through the game and I don't like using manual, so there's no way I'm actually going to get the necessary things for the high scores at all. I'm just going here to skate around, do some tricks, and do whatever objectives they want me to do in each level, but I'm not score chasing, which is probably whoever really likes Tony Hawk is probably convulsing right now at how I'm playing this game.
That's fair. I honestly don't have too much to say about this one. I maybe played like I think I rented Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for the Nintendo 64 for a weekend at Rogers Video.
Mhm.
Played it and liked it and then never touched it again. So
Soundtrack do be good though. Soundtrack do
yes,
be
I
good.
do remember the music being great. I do remember that.
Like, it makes me sad that kids nowadays, oh god, I sound so fucking old saying that. But you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna keep moving forward. At least a whole bunch of kids could say that their musical tastes were completely shaped by Tony Hawk, and at least the people closer to my age could point at Rock Band and Guitar Hero and say, "Ah, yeah, that's what changed my music." I can't think of anything outside of maybe FIFA or Madden or games where they have a soundtrack like that gets rotated in and out yearly that people can point to nowadays and be like, ah, yeah, that helped. He shaped my music taste when it comes to games.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I don't know if it's just that I think music sucks nowadays. I'm going to sound old now, but I don't know if I just think that music sucks
I'll
nowadays
join you.
or if they're just what's that?
I'll join you. We can be old men yelling at clouds
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, I honestly think that's part of it. I think, but also they're just not doing a good job of putting good music into games anymore. Like licensed music, I mean,
Yes.
licensed music. Not yeah. So yeah, I'm with you there.
Correct. No, I do really think that it's just that it's so much harder to find good music because I mean, like,
Yeah, that's
uh,
well. There's so much more out there too,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
Like the fracturing, and there's no monolith of a one artist anymore that people can all agree on is good. That just makes it really hard to find good music now.
yeah, I totally agree.
However, shout out to the host of The Game is Fun, Matthew Borheath, this one young Zoomer, all right? This one child, this one fetus, even, all right? He told me about a band called the Sonder and they kick ass. I love a good, powerful female vocalist with a good sound behind them. Sonderbombs kick so much ass, and they're the closest thing I've had to probably within the last 10 years an artist that has made it that I'm like, you know what? I actually like your shit like a lot. But I mean, mostly in rock because it feels like rap usually has new people that are popping in every once in a while that you're like, okay, that was good. I don't know about most of your music, but at least that one song was good.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on the female vocalists. I think the last band, and they're even old news now too, but
Mm.
the last band that I really discovered that I like was the Yeah Yeah Yeahs because of her voice. So I'm with you. I think female vocalists, I kind of gravitate towards them as well.
Dude, power female vocalists are some of the best things out there, and we're in a dire need of more of them.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah,
So that's all I got. That is my entire list. I didn't feel like most of them needed that extended part. So yeah, I hand it back
that's
to you.
fair. Yeah, like, well, the next two I'm about to talk about, I don't really have much to say about, so I'll just group them together, even though they don't really have anything to do with each other. But Crash Team Racing, I finished. Very short little campaign mode. I give it a 6 out of 10. I'll just say the score right now. It's a good game. I don't think it's great. Kart racers are something I generally enjoy. I just don't think this game personally is on the same level of Mario Kart to me. I think it's a lot more complex than Mario Kart, and there's better systems than Mario Kart, but sometimes simplicity is better, I feel. I don't know about you, but that's how I kind of feel about that sort of thing.
Never played Crash Team Racing. I just know that I'm such a master at Mario Kart, even with all the bullshit rubber banding that happens, that
Same.
I would never want to leave my league. Like if I was fucking Michael Jordan to go to greener pastures and see if I can dominate there too. I'm going to stick where I am.
I totally agree with you, and I'm actually really good at Mario Kart too, so we'll have to play sometime and see. But
Yeah, once you have a Switch that you suddenly are like, you know what?
yes,
I hate myself enough for this. Sure, why not?
yes,
All right.
yeah. Although, have you ever played Mario Kart?
N- I've heard of it so much, but
Yeah,
I just
that is my favorite form of Mario Kart by far because that's just fun. That just gets stupid.
All right,
But
we'll have to consider
not
that as
not
well.
endorsed by Nintendo. Not endorsed by Nintendo. Don't drink and drive. But
You're telling me
yeah.
that Miyamoto doesn't love drinking and driving on the streets of
No,
Kyoto?
no, not at all.
Dude,
But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that. It's fun. I do wish Mario Kart would introduce some sort of adventure mode like Crash Team Racing does, but the one in Crash Team Racing isn't great. I'd like something more like Diddy Kong Racing, which
Mhm.
I'm gonna date myself a bit, but I fucking love that game. And the adventure mode in that game is really fantastic. That's actually one of my favorite kart racers ever. So
I will say that the funny thing is that whenever I think of Miyamoto and driving, is this just a thing that I made up, or is it actually that Nintendo drives Miyamoto everywhere because they don't want him walking or biking to work?
that could be it. You could be right.
Okay, like anyone who's listening to this and wants to actually verify that, I think that's a thing where Nintendo's like, your life is too fucking valuable for you to walk or to bike here. What if someone hits you and kills you? We can't let that happen. Protect Miyamoto at all costs. Get a driver for him.
It wouldn't surprise me, honestly. He is Nintendo basically
Yeah.
now, so
So just
yeah.
because I want to go back to it, yeah, yeah, yes. What's the album that is the most yeah, yeah, yes? Not their best album. What is the album that is their song,
Oh,
their album where you're like, if I needed to show people what they're about, this is the one.
hold on.
Okay, I
I
have
will
them up. I have
100%.
them up because I've been looking at it. We've got Fever to Tell, Show Your Bones, It's Blitz, and Mosquito.
I mean, I like them all. If I was to recommend an album to it's so tough because they're all so different. I would probably say it's Blitz.
Okay, that'll work for me.
I would probably say it's Blitz, but if I could pick one song,
Ooh,
if
okay,
I could pick one song, I'd probably go and say "Date with the Night" by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and that's on Fever to Tell.
beautiful.
So
Okay, I have that up. I will add it to my watch later so I can be reminded.
I do not know. You might absolutely fucking hate them, but I will say if you like strong, powerful female vocalists, then you might that one might click with you. But yeah, they're very different. Like their style's very different. Big fan of them. So
Dorian, don't
yeah.
worry. Like, even if I hate it, like, I don't hold music too much against people because I just
Oh,
recognize
it's so
that
different.
I am
Yeah.
so picky when it comes to music. Like, it's probably
Oh
the
yeah.
thing I'm the
Same. I'm the
most
same.
pickiest about. So I can't ever hold it against people. The best that I can encourage is that people send me music and they're like, hey, I think you might like this. Like, honestly, even just that act already is enough for me to be like, you know what? I like you a little bit more.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. That's
Okay,
what.
so that's all I have to say about Crash Team Racing. Really shortly, I played one level of Perfect Dark, like literally one level. So I really have nothing to say about this. I do actually want to get back to it and play it again though, because I love Perfect Dark. I think it's great. Have you ever played Perfect Dark?
No, the closest thing that so of
Okay.
course I was a deprived child when it came to video games where I pretty much could only play what my brother played and he is just not a gamer. Honestly, it's even fucking sheer luck that I love Metal Gear as much as I do because that's the only way I know about it because he played it. So really Pizza Hut on the other hand, Pizza Hut thank you because if you didn't get into a partnership with PlayStation that would have changed my life had you not done that.
Yes, those demo discs were they slapped. They were good shit.
As a fucking lootly.
But yeah, no, Perfect Dark. Again, good game, really good game. Actually, it's one of my favorites from my childhood. Plays really well on Xbox. It's completely remastered, 60 frames per second, everything like that.
Mm.
So, I will talk about it more because I will play it again at some point. But yeah, I just was bored one day. I was like, hey, let's play a level of fucking Perfect Dark because I was waiting for I think Replicant at the time. So yeah.
So I'm curious. Of course, you played the Xbox one. D- did they add enough stuff that it holds up? And if so, does the original one hold up too, or is it just like go straight for the Xbox version? No reason to go back to the old one.
Like for Perfect Dark?
Yes.
I don't think they added anything, to be honest with you. I think the game, from a gameplay perspective, absolutely holds up in my opinion.
Mm.
The problem with going back to the Nintendo 64 version
The
is it runs
controller.
at about 15 frames per second.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
and the controller, but it runs at like 15 frames per second. It runs awfully. So, and like at the time, you didn't know any better. You're like, oh, this is fine. But going back to the now would be rough. So definitely go to the Xbox version. It plays exactly the same. It's just a clean 60 frames per second. So definitely the way to go for that one.
The one thing I want
Yeah.
to add, just because it made me think of it, one of my favorite memories in high school, of course, since I had played Mortal Kombat so much during my senior year, I had a whole bunch of downtime, and so of course this was on campus, right? Whenever my friend or I would forget either a PS3 the actual game Mortal Kombat or enough controllers, we actually kept an N64 inside one of the classrooms in case if we forgot any of those pieces. And we had GoldenEye and 4 controllers stored away there. Honestly, I can't believe how much of a miracle it is that we left it there and no one ever found it to steal it. So,
Yeah,
really
that's
glad about
crazy.
that. But I just remember playing GoldenEye on those days that we forgot any one of those pieces, and it's hilarious because if everyone started shooting at some point, the game would tank into like single digit
Oh yeah.
frames.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Perfect Dark was the same way. Like, Perfect Dark is, by the way, made by the same company, Rare. Perfect Dark is basically, I want to say, a sequel to James Bond because it was the next first-person shooter they got to do, and it's basically an involvement of that. Obviously, nothing to do with James Bond, but it's like a sci-fi, futuristic James Bond, and it's the same thing.
I mean, it's basically just a texture hack because honestly, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't such a licensing issue, it would have just been another Bond game.
Agreed.
Hmm. So, all right. I think that's everything.
Yep. Yeah. So that's all I got to say about Perfect Dark. Okay, next up, Returnal. Returnal.
Yes.
So yeah, we're getting into some heavy hitters here. These in the next couple games, I got some things to say about. So Returnal is the new game by Housemark,
Hmm.
a little small Finnish studio that have usually worked exclusively with PlayStation, but they're still working with PlayStation. And this is the next big exclusive. It's a next gen only game, so it's PlayStation 5 only. So if you are a peasant and only have a PlayStation 4, you will not be able to play this game. I'm sorry.
Whores, back the fuck off.
Yeah. That being said, too, it makes sense though, because when you play this game, you're going to understand why it wasn't a PlayStation 4 game. I have never played a game that has basically not only zero loading times, but there's fast travel in this game and it's seamless. From the second you start this game, you do not see a loading screen. There is no loading screens. And that's kind of the true power of next gen for me, not so much the visual aspect, but what they're going to be able to do with that power. And it's really cool to see that so far. But yeah, Returnal so far, it's hard, man. It do be hard. It's really fucking hard to the point where I can't finish it, and I don't know if I ever will finish it because I don't know if I want to devote the time that it will take to get good to finish it. I've kind of adopted doing like a run per night kind of thing with it. I'm playing it with Days Gone right now, and Days Gone is my focus. But I do go back to Returnal occasionally and do a run in it, and I'm enjoying it. The game is so good. It's gameplay wise, like I'm a big story over gameplay kind of guy, but this game plays and feels so fucking good. Like it is just a blast to play, and you'll go on these like 2.5 hour runs, and then in my case, die tragically at the fucking third biome. Uh, but you'll finish it, and you'll be like, "Oh, that was 2.5 hours. That felt like 35 minutes. Like it felt like no time passes at all." And it's so good. So gameplay is king for this game. It's really good. The other thing I'll say too quickly is just that I'm a big sci-fi guy. I get huge Prometheus vibes from this game. Prometheus is kind of the movie that some people shit on, some people love. I happen to really love it. But even if you don't like Prometheus, I think you can appreciate some of the aesthetics that come from that movie. And the aesthetics in this game really remind me of that. The art direction is just really fucking cool. So some
From
opening thoughts there on Prometheus, Returnal.
From the little pieces that I've seen, I went from just not really caring about this game, thinking, "Oh, I'm fine. Like, I don't really think I need this," to eventually everyone getting their hands on it and going, "Oh, this is fun." For me, going, okay, I guess I'll just pick it up and actually try it whenever PlayStation Plus has it, or even if I see it like at 10 or $20. You were the one that suddenly pushed me into the edge of like, okay, I'm gonna have to get to this thing sooner. Because if you, story king, even you can look at the gameplay and go,
Yeah.
I'm getting my teeth kicked in and I'm looking at Housemark and saying thank you. That is just, that's incredible to me. Like, that is the
Yeah.
moment where I was like, okay, that is something. By the way, Housemark,
Yeah.
if anyone, if you're like, Housemark, I don't want to Google who that is. You probably know them if you got Dead Nation or if you got Resogun. If you've heard of those games, you know Housemark.
Yes, very good games. And you're totally correct. So I'm very fair with games. I will buy a game and I will say, I'm going to hate this game. Fuck this game. I famously did that with Persona 5 Royale.
Yep.
Like, I don't know why I'm about to play this game. This game looks stupid. This isn't my type of game. It's now my third favorite game of all time. I'm very fair. I do have preconceived notions about a game, but if it's good, it's fucking good. And that's the same way I felt about Returnal. Before I started Returnal, I'm like, man, this was a waste of $90, 90 Canadian buckaroos. I'm not gonna like this game. Fuck, the game's fun though, man.
Dorian, I need you to remember this. I played Near Automata because it was a used copy that I bought for someone, and I had
It's right.
no intentions of ever even liking it. I was playing it because I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it. I fucking hated the demo. I hated the demo. That is literally just the first hour of the game. And this time when I played it, I was like, huh, this is actually clicking a little bit. Oh shit, I didn't even listen to the music. This isn't bad. And that was the least that I ever had to say about the music, which was the first time I played it, and it only increased from there. So there is a special sauce to not expecting something and then having it knock you on your ass.
Yeah. And oh, Returnal knocks you on your ass again and again and again. That's literally the loop of the game. But it's fun. It's really fucking fun. And like I said, I do not know if I will ever beat this game. The next time I really seriously play Returnal is going to be when I'm waiting for a new game release and I don't want to start anything big. And then maybe I'll be able to sink my teeth back into it and make some progress with it. But it's fun. Like, it's definitely addicting. And it's, if you're a gameplay is king type of person, I just don't know how you can ignore this game. It's really good.
All right, I'm gonna make a call right now. Will, if you're listening to this, you got a PS5 from Amazon. Yes, yes, it's you. I hope you're working out. Look, I don't know when you're listening to this. I'm pretty sure you're backed up on play on podcast. It's okay. Look, I don't even thank you for even listening. This is probably the game for you. I hope Returnal's cheaper by the time you hear this.
Will play Returnal. You'll like it. I don't know anything about you, but
Oh, this okay. Look, Dorian, you want to know what kind of person Will is? He played all of Hollow Knight, a notoriously hard game, with drift on Joy Cons, and he still beat it like 2 or 3 times.
okay, yeah, play Returnal. You'll love it.
Yeah, no, I'm so scared of the talent that man has in 2D games, and the fact that Returnal is still scratching that same arcade itch. Like, I think that's perfect for him.
Yeah, I play Returnal. Tell Ed how quickly you beat it, and then I'll want to kill myself even more. So
Oh, he's
I'll
gonna be like,
appreciate
"Oh, I died 3 times,"
it.
and
Yeah,
and
I'll
it,
be like, ah, fuck you, Will.
and he's gonna be like, "And it was only in the credits, like my game crashed." I was like, I count the crashes as
uh,
kills.
yeah, no kidding. So really, yeah, I don't have too much more to say about it. I'm not going to score it obviously because I haven't finished it, but yeah, it's really great. If you're a gameplay person, definitely check it out. And honestly, like, it'd be really cool to see more Sony fund more of these types of games. I really do enjoy the big third person open world action adventure games Sony makes, but once in a while I do like something new. Returnal is definitely something new and it's really cool to see.
I am going to give Returnal the most improved award because I went from not caring about this to suddenly going, okay, you know what? Even if it's full price, I'll liquidate my Best Buy funny money to get it at some point.
You're welcome, Housemark. Send me a check in the mail. Uh, okay, so this is now the next game. This is one I actually do really want to talk about, and that's Resident Evil Village. Now,
Ooh, keep it
yes,
brief because I'm gonna play it in October.
yes, don't worry. I'm going to keep the spoilers vague. We will. I got a lot to say about that, but I'll wait until you finish it. That being said, this is my game of the year so far, really easily for me. It's such a great game. Now, if you've played Resident Evil 7, this basically takes Resident Evil 7. It ratchets the craziness, the horror, everything with it up to 100. Personally, I don't think I enjoyed this as much as I did Resident Evil 7, but I think a lot of that is due for the same reason you with the VR,
Hmm.
because that was such a special experience for me in Resident Evil 7, and unfortunately, Resident Evil Village doesn't have the VR mode
Absolute
capabilities,
pain.
which yeah, maybe one day, hopefully, that'll be really cool if they add it in. I sure hope they do. But yeah, it's so great. The first half of this game, especially, is just it's scary. It's classic Resident Evil. The characters are all so fucking cool. The story is easily the most interested I've ever been in a Resident Evil game. You said something the other day, like, make me care about the Resident Evil lore or help me understand it or something like that. Do you remember?
Okay, I think what I had said was that Resident Evil is one of those games that like it has lore, but I don't actually even think it adds to the games. So I asked, I was like, well, I mean, like you can play Resident Evil 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you would just be like, oh, is that dude? Like you're just the Leo meme of like, hey, oh, no, there we go, there we go. Like that's all you are in Resident Evil story. You can read the canon, but it's probably not going to enhance it much. And I asked, I was like, okay, if people are praising Resident Evil 8, really tied in is 7. And you were just like, no, 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 you don't understand. This is the first fucking sequel. Like, this is the first sequel Resident Evil has ever had.
Yeah, and that's my point. I would completely agree with you. Resident Evil's lore and continuity and its story, it's there. You dig for it, it's there, and it does make some semblance of sense. But it's definitely not what you're playing Resident Evil for or even care about. But this is the first one. Resident Evil 8 is a sequel to Resident Evil 7. Now, a lot of people are comparing this to Resident Evil 4, which famously I'm not a huge fan of. That being said, I totally
Putting it lightly.
yeah. I understand those comparisons. Resident Evil 8 borrows a lot from Resident Evil 4, but I also think it borrows a lot from Resident Evil 1, 2, 3. It kinda takes all of the really cool parts of previous Resident Evil games and then just adds it on to 7 and makes a really kick-ass fun sequel. That's kinda how I feel about 8, and they did a really great job with it, Capcom. The game took me 8 hours to beat. It didn't overstay its welcome.
Wonderful.
I can't tell you how nice it is sometimes to just have an 8-hour experience with no bugs, that's super polished, that runs really well, and that you're done. My next game I'll talk about, like, this is like a 40-hour game, and it doesn't need to be 40 hours. This game is tight, and it's the perfect length.
All right. I will tell you right now, there's something that you said that had me so excited. Like it just perked my ears up. When you started talking about how they introduced so many different things from different Resident Evil games, that is so fucking cool because of course everyone knows that after Resident Evil 6, like Resident Evil was in a dark place where people were like, the series is probably dead now at this point. Resident Evil 7 goes, okay, clear the table. Let's start off and figure out what is it about Resident Evil's essence that is truly important, and then they execute that brilliantly. I mean, the first hour of Resident Evil 7 is something that I feel like if there is a class that studies video games, I swear that is one that you can bring into like a chapter or something or a section that's called how to reboot your game, finding the soul of what your series means. Like I feel like if you had a topic like
Totally
that,
agree.
Resident Evil 7, its first hour is perfectly emblematic of planting your flag and saying no, there is no reason Resident Evil needs to go away because this is what makes the series special. And the fact that you're saying that Resident Evil 8 then not only follows up on that, follows and builds off of that. But the fact that not only does it figure out what the essence is of every game, but then at some point takes it a step further and goes, we're going to look at what makes every single entry special and see if we can integrate that. That alone has me so fucking excited for whenever I get to it that honestly, I think I might even delay myself further and play it sequentially. Like, I'm not going to start with Resident Evil 8. I'm going to start with 0, which I've heard people really don't like, and then finally finish it off with 8.
Yeah, you'll finish off with the best one. Now, I haven't played 0 and some of the spin-offs, so I don't know about those games. But I'll put it to you this way, even, like, I hate Resident Evil 6. Like, I could do a 3-hour hate cast on that fucking podcast or on that fucking game solo. I fucking hate that game. But even Resident Evil 8 manages to take a slice of Resident Evil 6 and somehow makes that fucking slice brilliant, in my opinion. Like, it just manages to take the best parts of some of these past games. And it is, and for the most part, you're going to see mostly 4. Like, 4 is definitely, I feel, where they're like, okay, let's zero in on this and hone in on this and kind of sprinkle in other things as we go. But they just do such a really great job at bringing back what is, in my opinion, the soul, like you said, of Resident Evil and just kind of bringing it back to what it is and what it used to be. Now, the game's not perfect. Like, there are issues with it. So there's, again, without getting into huge spoilers, you basically have a few different sections you have to go through. The last section is and it's not the very, very end of the game, but there's like kind of a prelogue to it where you're going through these sections and you get to the last section. That section of the game is not only the longest section out of any of the sections, but it's also the worst in my opinion. every other section before that ended, I thought, too soon. Like it made me want more, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think you should always be left wanting more in a game.
Mhm.
And that's what that did. But by the time this section ended, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to fucking move on from this because this is the worst part of the game. And coincidentally was also the longest. So it's definitely not perfect. And I think that's just a staple of Resident Evil. The last act of Resident Evil always suffers through things. But I think for the very end, they do manage to pull it all together. And it's definitely easily my second favorite Resident Evil game ever. It's great.
It's hilarious to me that you are probably way more positive on the series overall than I am, except I actually really like all of the endings to the Resident Evil games I play because I am such a big fan of when the games finally let their hair down. They're like, okay, look, we get it. We're just going to have a bit of an action ending, which, to be fair, is always so satisfying to me because it's just like the game goes, okay, we're going to take off the shackles, go crazy. And even if the mechanics themselves don't really lend themselves well to it, it's just such an empowering thing. By the time you're finished it, you're just like, dude, like it's a power creep that in most games have, except it's not a power creep. Once again, it's literally just sea level to Mount Fuji levels of power creep, where it's just like, oh, you don't really have power, you're gonna have to be counting your bullets throughout this. And then you get to Mount Fuji, it's like, here's an infinite ammo rocket launcher, go crazy.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. You know what? It's fun. To me, some of those crazy sequences at the end just aren't really Resident Evil. They don't feel like classic Resident Evil to me. But
Correct.
that's just me being an old, get off my lawn asshole, bring me back the original days Resident Evil kind of person.
Mhm.
But I will say that that's why I think Resident Evil 8's so great because there's something for everyone. Because you want to let your hair down? Oh boy, you let your fucking hair down at the end of Resident Evil 8. Don't worry about that. That game gets fucking nuts. So there's plenty to look forward to, but it pleases fans for myself because the first half of that game, especially even the first 75% of that game, is really just classic scary Resident Evil. Like I heard in previews people saying this game wasn't scary. There's a section, again, no spoilers, but there's a section and I was like, holy fuck, am I playing PT? This is scaring the fucking shit out of me. It was scary, man. I actually live streamed it and I had somebody watch me from the Discord who was like, I want to see your reaction to this. So I was like, oh boy, this is going to be fucked. And sure enough, it was.
Oh, that excites me. That excites me. I like well done horror.
Yeah, I think you'll really appreciate this game when you get to it. I'm really excited for October now because I've been wanting to go through some of these games again. 5 and 6 are going to be shit, but playing them co-op will probably make them at least, I don't know, they'll probably make it more palatable. It'll be
Okay,
fun. We'll have to stream them.
formal announcement, since we've only offhandedly mentioned it. October's probably going to be Resident Evil month, where Dorian's going to play a whole bunch of Resident Evil games. I think he's playing basically the entire mainline series, while what I'm going to do is that I'm going to play the games I missed. So for me, that means Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 1 Remake, 5 I'm replaying for Dorian, and then I'm playing 6 since I've never completed that, and then I'm doing 8. Dorian, which ones were the ones that you're doing?
So I'm going to do 0 remake. I'm going to do 1 remake, and then I'm going to do 3 remake, which I haven't played. I'm going to replay 4 because I don't like the game and I want to give it another chance and see it. So I'm curious. So I'm going to do 4 again. Then I'm going to do 5 with you, 6 with you, and then I'm probably going to stop there. I don't think I'll replay 7 and 8.
I forgot one, Code Veronica, because of course even Capcom
Oh,
forgot
yes, I'm
about
doing
it.
Code Veronica too. Correct. Yeah, I'm doing Code Veronica as well. And I have played Code Veronica, but I love it, so I'm playing it again.
Dude, I just hate that Capcom has forgotten Code Veronica exists.
Oh, it breaks my heart, man. Code Veronica is such a great game. You've never played it, right? Or have
No,
you?
I haven't. That's the thing. That's
Oh,
that's what's funny to
you're in for
me,
a
that
treat.
I feel like it's just something about the fact that Resident Evil 3 wasn't going to be actually Resident Evil 3, but Code Veronica was the actual 3, and the
It's
Cap.
true.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Code Veronica, in my opinion, is a better game than Resident Evil 3 is. So
The funny thing is that apparently the reason they didn't call Code Veronica 3 was because they said, well, I mean, the series is on PlayStation. This isn't going to be on PlayStation immediately, so we can't give this the 3 name.
yeah, that's Capcom in a nutshell. They're a fucking weird company.
So yeah, Resident Evil 8. I'm very excited for whenever I get to it, and you're pretty fucking high on it.
Yeah, so it's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. It doesn't quite, like Resident Evil 7 for comparison is a 9 out of 10, which is like I catalog and review every game I do. I have like 15 games approximately that are 9 or higher, so it's very rare I give a game a 9 out of 10. That's a really high score for me. So it's an 8.5 RE8. It's very close. It's a phenomenal game. Doesn't quite hit RE7 for me, and I think a lot of that is just the VR
Yeah.
specialness of RE7. Like that is one of my favorite gaming experiences I'll ever have. I don't know if anything will replicate that.
I love Resident Evil 7 VR so disproportionately that I really do have to reevaluate if I do want to put it on my favorites list because I just really do love it. Anyone that knows me, seriously, I'll let you borrow my VR headset to play Resident Evil 7 properly. Like, if you're not playing it in VR, you'll probably still enjoy it, but the VR mode is the fucking way to play that game because I
You just use
swear.
the headphones, or Edwin's gonna call you a bitch.
Oh, you're gonna be a pussy bitch if you don't use noise canceling headphones. So the reason why I say it's the way to play it is that Resident Evil 7 they had designed it normally and then they tried to port it into VR and what they realized is that the horror timings were too fucking scary in VR that people
Yeah.
couldn't get through it. So the fact that they pulled back on the horror timing for the VR mode makes me think okay, if they change the horror timing for the VR mode and it stayed the same whenever you're playing on TV, then that just means VR is the definitive way to play.
Yeah. And it's still scary as fuck. Like that game's not long. It's like another 7, 8 hour long game, but that game took me like a month to finish because I was a little bitch. So
I mean, you're not alone. I've had that game since 2017. I bought it new with Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild on fucking Wii U for a buy two get one at Target. And I didn't actually sit down and play it properly till like summer last year.
that's a long time.
Oh my god. It was so fucking worth it
worth the
though.
worth the wait though. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. Continue.
That's really it. Unless you had anything you want to add about Resident Evil.
No, I'm completely good.
Perfect. All right.
Oh wait, oh
So
hold on. My
last game I
score.
have.
My score.
Oh yeah, of course.
Anticipation out of 10.
Yes. Yes, that's a great score. I like it. Okay, so the last thing I have to talk about, because we're already running late anyways, I won't say too much to begin with anyways, but that's because I want to save most of my thoughts for when I finish it. But it's Ed's favorite game of all time, Days Gone. So let's let's talk a little bit about Days Gone, shall we? No, are you okay?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's dying. All right, let me talk while he's dying over there in the corner. So Days Gone. Okay, look. Here's the thing with Days Gone. So I'm actually about 40% into the game now. I was told today.
It's only
So
40?
it's a long fucking game, my
Fucking
friend.
god!
It's a long game. I was joking. I said I'm 25% through, but I actually thought I got to be at least like 60% done this fucking thing now. But no, apparently I'm not even half. So,
Uh,
anyways, here's the thing with Days Gone. There is a very good game, in my opinion, hidden in Days Gone. And I think I think as it is, it's pretty good. I think there was a point when this game. So the first, I would say, 5 hours of this game, maybe more, maybe less, maybe a bit more. I was this close to stopping playing it. I was done. I was like, this game is pissing me off. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? I'm going to stop. I'm not going to suffer through 40 hours for a 5 out of 10 game. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'll do that for the medium because it's 7 hours. I'm not going to fucking do that for Days Gone of 40 hours. Not happening. And then it turned a corner. It's so stupid. I enjoy it. Is the best way I can put it. It's like a bad movie to me that I is like, oh my god, this movie's so stupid, but I'm having fun with it. And that's kind of how I feel with Days Gone. It's so unpolished in areas. Like, even though this game's got 1,000 patches and it's 60 frames per second now, it looks fucking gorgeous. I don't care what anyone says. It's one of the best looking games I played on PlayStation. Like, I think it's absolutely fucking fantastic looking.
Oregon do be pretty.
It do be pretty, and that HDR implementation is chef kiss. I love it. But it's so like I'm not the type of person that bitches about cut to blacks, but this game does it like every fucking minute. It's so like I don't know why the game's obsessed with it. And there's just loading. The loading times are so bad in this game. Like it feels like I understand why Sony didn't greenlight a sequel because this does not feel like a Sony game. I understand if you don't like the Sony exclusives, but they have a certain level of quality and polish to them.
Oh yeah.
Like God of War, Horizon, Uncharted, The Last of Us Part 2. Whether you like or hate these games, there's a
Okay,
certain
so we're
level.
gonna talk Days Gone and The Last of Us Part 2 next to each other. They fucking belong with each other.
There's a certain level of polish to those games. They just feel like Sony first party games, very polished, very well done. Days Gone feels like a fucking circus ride off in the corner. Like, it does not feel like a Sony game. It feels something more like Ubisoft would have made with a really big budget and lots of time to spend on it. That's
Okay,
kind of
okay.
how I feel about the game.
Okay, now we got The Last of Us Part 2, we got Days Gone, we got Ubisoft. Oh
This is the
my
holy trinity of
god.
head topics.
I'm going to headbutt an ice pick.
And I like it. I like it. It's so ridiculous. Deacon St. John might be the stupidest protagonist I've ever played with in a video game. The guy's voice just randomly starts yelling for no reason in the middle of a conversation. And then he'll start talking like this, mumbling, "Oh, I gotta fucking get these fucking freakers, man. Oh, I'll come back for these fucking freakers in a little bit, man. I don't know what the fuck they're doing." But he's so stupid, he's charming. I like the guy, man. Like, I enjoy playing as him. So it's and I think part of my love for this show is my love for Sons of Anarchy, the TV show. I'm kind of just turning off my brain sometimes. I'm like, hey, I'm playing Sons of Anarchy, the video game. Let's go. And I'm just ignoring kind of what's going on, just riding my motorbike through the roads. I don't know why I like the game. I should hate the game. There's a lot of problems with the game, but man, it's pretty fun. I don't know.
Swear that Deacon is a person that if I hung out would be talking to me all the fucking time about talk radio. Like that is the kind of man that if we went to go drive somewhere, I am dirt poor, I can't afford gasoline in my car, and Deacon St. John's like, "We got people that we need to go meet to go get wings. You want to join us?" And I would say no because the last time that we went, all we did was sit in his car. Every once in a while, we would talk about something that is completely pointless that I don't want to talk about. And then he'll listen to talk radio and he'll be like, "Man, that Rush Limbaugh, he's an idiot. I'm going to keep yelling on my truck and talking to myself because obviously, since my wife is dead, I have no one else to talk to. The closest thing I have is that there radio." And I'd blast my fucking brains out as soon as I could with Boozer's shotgun if I had to hear him say another goddamn word. I fucking
He's
hate your
the
pickup truck, Deacon. I don't want to care about your talk radio, okay? I fucking wish those meth zombies would eat you.
Deacon St. John is the type of guy that you'll go to the movie theater with. You'll sit down in the theater,
Oh
and
no.
during a very serious scene, he'll just be like, "Recognize that actor?"
Hey, anybody pull up that Wikipedia and tell me what movie he was in?
That is Deacon St. John in a nutshell.
Oh,
And I should hate the guy, but he's just so stupid. I find him endearing. I don't know. Now, again,
uh,
I'm only 40% through this fucking thing. This game does not need to be as long as it is. Like, I don't know why this game is so long. And I'm saying that 40% in, so God help me when I get to like 80% in. But it does not need to be this fucking long. I can tell that already, especially with how bad the opening fucking 5 hours of this game are. But
we were
yeah.
having a good episode and I'm spiraling now.
Yeah, that's why I saved Days Gone for last. I did this specifically.
Oh my god, my day's ruined. There's no, I swear, I want to say that it's Stockholm Syndrome that you like Deacon at this point. If you were trapped in a room with an annoyed person for long enough, eventually you'll find them charming. But at least since we're lucky enough to be able to walk away from people, we do. Like, we just do, okay? Like, at some point, there are probably people who find their children so annoying, but at some point, they're just like, that's my fucker, though. Like, it's okay. I like him at this point. He can't tell a joke because he's stumbling through the entire thing, and at this point it's just charming to me instead of annoying that I can't understand a goddamn word he's saying. Except Deacon can form sentences, and you kind of wish he couldn't form sentences so you could at least find it a little bit more charming.
Here's the best thing I can say about it. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna compare this game to Horizon Zero Dawn for a second.
Okay.
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 Now, Horizon is a 7 out of 10 game for me. I think it's a banger game. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's a really good game, and I like it a lot. And I like Aloy. I like Aloy as a protagonist. I like her as a character. I don't think she's the most fascinating character in the world,
Hmm.
but I think she's good. But she's not memorable to me. When I think of Horizon, I don't think of Aloy. I think of fighting really cool robot dinosaurs. And like you, I think of Project Zero Dawn
Oh, so
because I think
fucking
it's the
cool.
coolest part of the game. I'm with you there. I think that's the coolest part of the game. That's what I think about. But she's very much in the typical protagonist line of Sony characters. They're all kind of, they're serious, they're out to do their quest and all this. Deacon is just so stupid. He's just so dumb that he's making it memorable for me. Like every time the guy just starts, oh man, these goddamn these guys, they're gonna come back and clear out this nest. I'll come back a few minutes later. I just laugh. I'm like, this is so stupid.
Deacon is
But
a
I love it.
fucking narc, okay? He probably is a narc because he has a wire on him, and that's why he's talking to himself so much. Whenever you turn off the game, you come back, and then he listens to what you said, and that's the markers that he has on map.
Decon is a pussy ass snitch. Like no joke. 100%.
Oh shit, do I like the game now?
Yeah, right. No, you won't. You
No,
won't.
I
But
that was a joke. That was a joke.
yeah,
I feel like I
no,
need to establish that there's absolutely no
yeah. If
I would have to get paid.
if Ed ever came to me and was like, "Hey, I like Days Gone now," I think the first thing I would say is, "Why are you? What alien entity are you that's invading Ed's body? And can you get the fuck out now?" That is where I feel that the conversation would have to go. That is the most unbelievable thing somebody could tell me. Somebody could tell me that fucking Natalie Portman wants my phone number to take me out for a cup of coffee, and I would believe that before I would believe that Ed likes Days Gone.
I would like Tilu 2 more than Days Gone. There's more chances of that happening. And I'm going to
Yeah,
give The Last of Us Part 2 a hate cast as long as it needs to be.
yeah. No, for sure. So, Days Gone, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to finishing it. God knows when, because I really want to get to the new Mass Effect remaster trilogy.
Mm,
Got to wait for my Xbox to come back, which is sadly not working at the moment.
mm.
But beyond that, yeah, basically Days Gone. I will play more of it. Those are my thoughts on it. I would say, Ed, do you have more thoughts? But I don't know if you want to rant about that for another half an hour.
You want to know what's actually really painful about this? Knowing that because I'm so angry about this, this is making for really good content. That's the most painful part, that
Yeah,
Days
right. I
Gone
mean,
being something that I hate so much that I'm making something good about it, and the fact that there's even something good in relation to Days Gone infuriates me even more.
that's the good thing, right? Okay, you don't like Dunkirk. I don't like Annihilation. I guarantee you, though, you don't hate Dunkirk. I don't hate Annihilation as much as you hate Days Gone.
Correct. Correct.
So that's why this is a very good ending cap. Now you can stew on our good old friend Deacon St. John for the rest of the night. And you can too at home, by the way.
I'm gonna go to my family and they're just gonna be like, "Man, what's wrong with him? Like, did he have a hard day at work?" And my wife is gonna be like, "He talked about Days Gone."
Oh god, but yeah. Days Gone is an interesting game. I will have more to say about it once I beat it. If I have not beaten this,
The torture's not over.
yeah, fuck. If I have not, so last thing. If I have not beaten this by the time the next fucking Passive Pixels episode happens, fucking kill me.
I'm gonna go to sleep in lava.
Sounds good. I'll join you.
Is that the episode?
I think so. I think you can just title this episode. I'm gonna go sleep in lava.
Sleeping in lava. That's not a bad one. I might consider that. All right. Any final thought? Oh, wait, you know what? Just because this is a thing I keep trying to make and then I never stick with it, I'm going to go with my highest recommendation of Replicant V1.2, but that's too obvious. So I'm going to put that one and then put number two. Number two is going to be Annihilation.
Okay. My recommendation is Days Gone, just so you can see why Ed hates it so much.
No. Everyone who has a PS5 is cursed because they have Days Gone for free, okay?
Yeah, it's free on the PlayStation Collection. Check it out, folks.
That is the most insulting fucking thing that Sony's ever done to PlayStation owners, okay? And they try to fucking pull the PS3 store and the Vita store. They treated the Vita the way they did it, and I still think it's a bigger insult to give Days Gone to people.
No, but for real, my actual recommendation would be Resident Evil 8. If you're a fan of survival horror, horror in general, or just, really tight 8-hour but super high quality experiences, definitely check that out.
Okay, that's it's time to go and just cry and reflect on my life that I'm subjecting myself to listen to Days Gone.
Have a great day, folks.
Bye.